In any case, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep blasting off. 10K, you must be slumming it. Oh, dude, the tickets. Have you guys seen them? The $8,000 tickets were the cheapest ticket, like $9,000 tickets were the cheapest available tickets. And they were the worst tickets. Like straight up, the worst possible tickets are going for $9,000. And I was having this conversation with a friend earlier, and I speculate that the booze will be raucous, will be thunderous inside of Madison Square Garden. And he actually brought up an interesting point. He said, honestly, the lower level tickets will probably be entirely comprised of some of the wealthiest New Yorkers, and therefore it will be cheers alongside the booze. And I don't think that's the case. I still think that New Yorkers, the wealthy finance bros and whatnot, the people that are capable of purchasing those tickets are still haters of Donald Trump at this point, partially because he's done too much money molestation. So I don't even think the finance bros fuck with him like that, especially the finance bros in New York City. So yeah, I still believe that the booze will overpower the cheers. And I think that a lot of people inside of Madison Square Garden would be far too worried to even cheer on the president. They'll say, not my president. But of course, very crowded arena, very crowded situation, very crowded city. And Donald Trump is fucking it up for New Yorkers aggressively. No walking allowed in the heart of Midtown for Monday's Knicks game. Closures in effect starting June 8th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So it's like in the next hour and 15 minutes. In the next hour and 15 minutes, you are not allowed to walk near Madison Square Garden. No one will be allowed inside the secure area unless you have a ticket to the game, a train ticket, are going to a business inside the area, have credentials, or have some other authorized reason to be there according to the New York Police Department. This is unheard of. Okay, this is totally ridiculous. It makes no sense. It's going to be unbelievably costly. I suspect that there's going to be a lot of taxpayer funds allocated to the New York Police Department to section off this entire area. Fuck it, unwalks your walkable city. Yeah. A 1 hour wait to go to work. Employee line at Madison Square Garden this morning. 1 hour wait. Knicks fans, get there early. I really thought that the 2 hour wait lines to get into Madison Square Garden as a, ticket holder was an exaggeration. Now I don't even believe it's an exaggeration. So that was the other reason why I didn't want to go either. Because what am I supposed to do? Stream for an hour from New York on Monday just so I can go watch Game 3? No thanks.
What are your thoughts on Trump maybe coming to one of the NBA Finals games next week?
Hopefully he doesn't. New York's been suffering long enough. Without a championship, he can stay out and we can maybe get through this one without any bad luck.
Honestly, that gets me very excited. I think that President Trump attending one of the games is huge for New York and the United States as a whole.
Chud-ass loser, dog. The fuck? Dude, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, dude, that's my president, dude. You're supposed to be excited. Okay, bro. Okay, Amari Stoudemire. Calm down, okay? Calm down.
Let's go Trump.
Yeah, so I just feel like right now, like you can see behind us, like the energy's just really happy, lively. New York is alive. Like energy's really up there. And I just feel like if he comes, it's going to be really strange. Like it's going to be a big downer. Like New York is filled with such diversity, and a lot of the stuff that he doesn't stand for is here. So why is he coming here?
I don't honestly have a positive or negative connotation to it, but I think it would be pretty funny. I think we get a lot of laughs out of people.
Hey, let him come. We're going to boo the out of you, bro. Like, let him come.
As a Knicks fan.
What the fuck?
Hey, let him come.
This is a Toronto man's. I'm sorry. You cannot convince me that that's a New Yorker, bro. That's a Toronto man.
I think it would be pretty funny.
That's crazy. He thought he was slick. Please fix your time dying here. What the fuck are you saying? What? Fix your tie. Holy fuck, it's killing me. What's wrong with the tie? It's fucking fine. What do you mean? Fix your fucking tie. Fuck. Oh my God. Full Windsor or bust. That's why you were banned from the UK. Holy shit.
I think they get a lot of laughs out of people. Hey, let them come. We're going to boo the out of you, bro. Like, let them come.
As a Knicks fan, we don't want the distraction. We're taking it one game at a time. It's 0-0. We want the win. We're focused on basketball and nothing more.
What are your thoughts on Trump maybe coming to one of the NBA Finals games?
Full Windsor is dog shit. Yeah, it's single Windsor, and it's fine. Okay, everybody, shut the fuck up about my sartorial choices. Unless you're here to tell me that it's actually a banger fit, I don't want to hear from you. Okay. But yeah, this is classic Trump. Okay, classic Trump coming in to ruin something exciting happening in the goddamn city. Like, not only is his presence not welcome in New York, but his appearance is actually ruining the experience for New Yorkers. Okay? They had to shut off the watch party that they were supposed to put together outside of Madison Square Garden. Because there was supposed to be like tens of thousands of people outside of MSG who can't get in because the tickets are so goddamn expensive, and they were going to all gather outside of MSG and watch. Now, they can't do that. Now, they've also restricted travel around Madison Square Garden. It's going to be a bitch getting in and out. Classic. But of course, Zoran, the expert political machinist, found a way to shine in this circumstance, and he has set up an official watch party at Bryant Park instead. Is he holding off on war plans for right after this event? It turns out he didn't even hold off on war plans right after this event. Trump is going to shake hands with Wemby? Wait, what? Is it true your locker room access is being restricted so he can go in there? Last thing they need before this game is a distraction of the circus traipsing through their locker room? Yes. First time all season, no pregame locker room access for media. No. Donald Trump, the rapist, is forcing his body into the locker rooms? Yeah, this is the security perimeter that they installed around Madison Square Garden. It's so funny because this man refused to go to his son's wedding. And then instead went to a Mike Lawler rally in New York. And now he's going to Madison Square Garden and he's ruining the fucking vibes of the city. I swear to God, he's working for the Spurs. Is this you? Yes, that's me, man. You got me. That's me. I'm Tucker Carlson. Welcome. What's going on? Trump, Mamdani, and the Knicks. A manic Monday awaits New York. When the Knicks return home for Game 3 of the NBA Finals, much of New York City will be watching, including some well-known guests. Monday will be a homecoming of sorts for Mr. Trump, a native New Yorker whose last center stage appearance at the Garden was a crass reminder of his political and cultural impact shortly before he won the 2024 presidential election. This is just Zoran training the NYPD on martial law tactics for when he establishes the New York City commune. Meanwhile, in LA. Oh, yeah, we'll get to Karen Bass in a second. Despite his differences with the president, Mr. Mamdani has shown a willingness to cultivate Mr. Trump's capricious goodwill and seemed game to play the gracious host. We're excited to welcome anyone and everyone who's rooting for the Knicks in this moment, Mr. Mamdani said. Oh, yeah? What if it was Adolf Hitler rooting for the Knicks? Got him. Fucking got his ass, dude. See, this is what I mean. This is phony. What if it was Benjamin Netanyahu rooting for the Knicks? Oh, I bet you'd love that one, huh? All the security, but he didn't have any at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Hashtag Blue MAGA. Smoked his ass, dude. Anyway, Joe Covello, spokesman for Mr. Mamdani, said the mayor was paying his own way, but declined to say how much his ticket cost. A spokeswoman for Madison Square Garden referred questions about the president's ticket to the White House, which declined to comment. I believe Zoran came out today and actually mentioned that he paid $1,000, which, again, this guy's supposed to be a millennial, okay? Talk about a working class hero over here. Paid $1,000 for standing room only ticket at Madison Square Garden, which I didn't even know there were standing room only tickets at Madison Square Garden, but it turns out there are. Okay. For the record, I want to remind you that Eric Adams has literally done courtside seats at MSG as the mayor. If Zoran were to do that, they would assassinate him. Okay. Mr. Trump, when asked about the exorbitant ticket prices, suggested that Knicks fans were victims of the team's success. He offered a cheaper solution. They can watch it on television, the president said on Friday to reporters on Air Force One. It's sort of semi-free to watch it on television. That's the way life goes. Anyway, so yeah, he basically said sucks to suck. Also, I suspect Donald Trump will be in a box. I don't think he's going to be courtside. That would be pretty crazy. So yeah, he has attended stuff like this before. He's usually in a box. Not sure which one, but yeah. Bro, will you meet Scott Libido? Scott Libido, my biggest fan. He'll be outside. He will be outside Madison Square Garden with a big placard that says Zohran Mamdani is a terrorist who loves Hassan Piker. Memdandy. He will be with his placard. I assume he'll be with Dolan. True. Just want to let you know, by the way, that's just how it goes. Every day this guy says America deserved 9/11. Every day he wakes up and goes live on his fucking broadcast. It says America deserved 9/11, and now he's in my beautiful city of New York. What is he doing? Box seating for entertainment in New York City has historically been the safest place for presidents. ... That's funny. Anyway, we're not making jokes like that. Obviously, we're just monitoring the situation. I'm not making any inferences. I'm not making any statements. That's all I gotta say. There he is with our boy, by the way. Anyway. In recent weeks, Mr. Mamdani has incorporated Knicks fandom into his political messaging. That's so funny. Yo, there's something really funny about the way that like the New York Times reporters are writing, like the politics beat reporters are writing about the Knicks, where you can like hear the nerdiness come out. You know what I mean? Here is Zohran Mamdani incorporating Knicks fandom into his political messaging. Like, sick. Or as a lifelong New Yorker, he's just appreciative of the Knicks in general. It makes sense, you know? Here he is, a basketball enthusiast. Okay, follow me. Trump shows up courtside where at the last couple of seconds the foul is called. The ball flies off him in the chest. The crowd goes nuts. Last minute clutch by the Knicks. The uproar shatters the windows in a 2-block radius. Socialism is won. The country can begin to heal. Anyway, I will be watching the game with friends. But
Knicks fans could.
Let's get started here. Folks. We're obviously going to be talking about the election stolen conspiracies from Los Angeles, California as well. You already know, but let's get started with Knicks lead NBA Finals as Trump set to attend Game 3 in New York.
Not having more fun at the NBA Finals. Here they are going absolutely bonkers Friday night after that Game 2 win. Now Game 3 is tonight, and it is the first NBA Finals game at Madison Square Garden in 27 years. President Trump also plans to be there, and so will superfan Ed O'Keefe. Now, he predicted the Knicks would sweep the conference finals, and they did. Yeah. Ed O'Keefe, are you calling for another sweep, my friend?
I'm not predicting this time. I'm just going to say that you're wrong about what's going to happen here.
Okay.
And I'm just pleased to leave it at that. But I am pleased to say that I'll be attending tonight at least with a press pass, and thank goodness, because right now the highest ticketing price, $180,000 for a seat to this game tonight. The lowest resale price, about $5,000 if you can swing it. One other person who will be attending tonight is the President of the United States, who history reminds us is a legitimate New York sports fan.
I've been waiting for this.
There's nothing in recent history that's united New Yorkers quite like the Knicks.
Yeah, we got it.
Up 2 games on the San Antonio Spurs in their best-of-7 series.
They're not coming here, and they're not taking any games.
Third game got to be right like it's the last game.
The city is so into it, they've repainted the subway entrances, lit the skyscrapers orange and blue. The mayor even excused kids from early bedtimes so they can watch.
Bedtime is repealed.
The fandom is so intense when Elmo from Sesame Street said he hopes both teams have fun. Even the city's transportation department threatened to remove street signs honoring his TV home. And tonight, among the usual celebrities at Madison Square Garden, the President of the United States.
Has anyone ever had this kind of a run?
Yeah, they're not playing around. Also, the people that wanted to see the suit in full display, here you go. Boom, boom. Look at that. Tailored, baby. Chinese style. The night where rich people get to feel alive. So cool. Okay, you're insane. We're talking about sports, man. Like, historically, one of the things that the working class gets to do and enjoy. You need some better shoes. Patrick Bet David has some great slip-ons. Yeah. Is this the China suit? No, but it is the same tailor that made the China suit. He had all my sizes. He had my sizes, so I reached out to him to make me more suits. And he shipped it out, and this is one of them. I got one double-breasted, one black with gray pinstripe single-breasted, and then 2 additional Zhongshan suits. Anyway, let's continue.
The New York native sat courtside with his then and future wives for the Knicks' last hot streak in the 90s and talked up his fandom in a 1994 interview with CBS News.
I think that New York is just hot, and I think that the teams are hot, and whether it's...
God damn, he used to look like shit even back then. It's kind of crazy. Was there ever an era where he didn't look like shit? Was there ever an era where he did not look like absolute dookie? Also, as far as New York being hot goes, like, yeah, it's hot. It's hot right now, straight up. New York hasn't been this hot in decades. And it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, it has everything to do with the opposite of Donald Trump, where Donald Trump is ruining everywhere else, around the world, really. With one exception, he's allowed New York to exist and survive. Mamdani has turned it around.
the Yankees or the Knicks or the Rangers or the Mets, somebody's going to be winning.
But the cost of tonight's tickets might make even Wall Street bankers blush. 5, 6 figures for top seats, something that bothers.
That's bullshit, by the way. Nope. That literally is not $5,000 right now. Those tickets, we looked at it. We looked at it on stream. I've looked at those tickets myself. Those tickets are straight up $8,000 or $9,000. This is literally New York right now. Yeah. Dolphins under the Verrazano scene from New York City Ferry. Zoran said he got us under $1,000. Yeah, I know. I think, well, first of all, I think when you're mayor, you get certain amenities. And one of them is, there is, I assume there's like a lottery system, and he probably was able to win the lottery system. And that's how he was able to purchase a ticket for $1,000. That's what I suspect.
Bankers blush. 5, 6 figures for top seats.
Bro, look at that. Courtside seats. Not even courtside, by the way, actually. Not even courtside. Behind courtside is $188,000. Like, you know the tickets that Jennifer Welch got for me for the Lakers? That's that seat. That's $188,000. Obviously, that it wasn't that much for the Lakers getting swept in fucking Los Angeles, but isn't that crazy? $188,000, bro. That's nuts. That's a whole house, bitch. Where? In the United States of America in 2026? That's maybe an outhouse in Alabama at this point. Yeah.
seats, something that bothers Knicks guard Josh Hart.
A lot of people who are been waiting for this moment for a very long time, unfortunately aren't able to get into the building.
For them, the president had this suggestion.
They can watch it on television.
The president's attendance tonight has the Guard and the NYPD and the Secret Service telling ticketed fans to...
The Midwest, you dingus. Dude, this is so funny. $180,000 in the Midwest is still going to be a fixer-upper. Okay? It's 2026, man. What is this conversation like? Sure, I get it. I'm out of touch. I live in Los Angeles. I live in a fucking Omega mansion, perhaps the most expensive house that's ever been sold. But like $189,000 to purchase a home in middle America is still gonna be a stretch, okay? That's like today's housing market conditions imply that you're not getting a fucking single family home at $188,000 pretty much nowhere. You live in New York, bud? I don't. But thank you for assuming that. I pretty much do. Yeah, Central Ohio here, 200K ain't shit for a house. Go on Zillow right now, you're delusional. my friend's got a 5-bedroom in Ohio for 150K. Only needed a new central AC and roof. Again, that's why I said you can get something for 188K maybe if it's a fixer-upper. Like you need to put some significant funds. You need to deploy some significant funds to fix it up. And we're talking about houses. We're not talking about an apartment or a condo or something, okay? Yeah. My house was 160 in Tennessee, but the floors are falling in, and I sometimes get a little hate crime to my neighborhood.
Show up at least 2 hours in advance. Leave your bags at home because of the enhanced security screening. Guys, I don't know. Would you spend $180,000 to see your favorite team?
No, I have on my Knicks dress, go New York, go New York, go. But no, I wouldn't spend $180,000. That said, I really want to go as I sit here right now, and I don't have a ticket, but I'm still working on it. But you're right. Let's go back to Nate for just a second, who predicted San Antonio in 7.
That's
Are
right.
you still sticking
You have to walk
by
around
that?
the city.
Are you still sticking by that?
Yeah, I'm sticking by that.
No.
I mean, I'm
San
going to
Antonio
rescue
7.
you because you
Security! Crazy man!
Living in the Midwest and houses by me literally have appreciated by 100 150K in the last 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. 2 quick questions.
How are you?
Good. For your own Knicks
That's a crazy tie. I like it.
tickets, can you tell us who you got them from and how much you paid for them? Number 2, I saw the Bloomberg reporting about the borders are talking about a surge coming to New York City, and I was wondering how much you were made aware of that and if you have any comments on how the city is going to respond.
On the first question, I bought my tickets for nearly $1,000 from Madison Square Garden. I'll be going to tonight's Game 3, and I'll be standing for the duration of the game.
Yeah, he's not even in the standing room only tickets, which I didn't even know existed in Madison Square Garden. But he's actually going to be standing up and saluting. Not the president, the real president, Brunson. He's going to be standing up and saluting Brunson the entire time. That's why he's standing. He's like, that's the real mayor of New York. 0 other candidates will be asked this. Love being on the left. I know. It's so funny. When you're a socialist, you live by very different standards. Okay? And these are standards that other socialists would apply to you as well. You every waking moment as an out and about socialist is another opportunity to showcase that you are not you're to showcase how real you are, okay? Like, he's the motherfucking mayor. Previous mayors have sat courtside at Knicks games, okay? If you think Eric Adams, if Eric Adams was currently the mayor of New York City and this exact same run was happening, if you think that he wouldn't be sitting courtside, slammed between Jay-Z and Fat Joe and Timothy Charlemagne, you're out of your dang mind, okay? But because he's a socialist mayor of New York, he's like, yeah, of course I'm standing. And don't worry, I'll get whipped by every working class New Yorker before entering the fucking arena, okay? And not a single goddamn person would say shit about Eric Adams sitting courtside either. They'd be like, oh, look at my mayor. He's so swagged out. He's so New York. Yeah, look, slumming it in the 10K seats with the working class. Chief of Staff for Bernie Moreno, by the way, who's saying this. Jay-Z's not a Knicks fan? Oh, yeah, he's a Nets fan, right? My mistake. I fucked it up. Whatever. Timothy Charlemagne is. And so is Ben Stiller and Fat Joe. Okay? Whatever. Spike Lee. Dinner with Jay-Z or $180,000? Man, I don't give a fuck about having dinner with Jay-Z. Where are you sitting, dog? I'm not here. I'm not sitting anywhere. Just admit you have no ball knowledge. I mean, it's not a secret. I don't really give a shit. I'm a fucking bandwagoner. You think I care? Goddamn nerds. Oh my God. Whoa, you're wearing that t-shirt. Name 5 songs. How about 0 songs? How about 0 songs that I can name? I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I'm a bandwagoner. You think I give a shit? That only matters if you have something to prove. I have nothing to prove. I don't even listen to fucking music. Do you understand the level of autism that I demonstrate on a daily fucking basis on my 8-hour politics broadcast? You think I give a fuck about coming across like I'm a real a diehard fan of anything? This is my life. I'm a fucking chud-ass loser. I wear it on my goddamn sleeve. I'm not LARPing. I'm openly telling you. It triggered him so much? No, not even. Not even. I'm a fucking robot, dude. Yeah, President of Sex also responded to Donald Trump. But let's finish the Zoran one, and then we'll get to President Sex. Okay? I don't want you guys to get too horny 1 hour into the broadcast. This was like a I have a dream speech as a fellow autistic.
On the second question, we have heard time and again threats of increases in immigration enforcement across our city. I want to be very clear about the fact that I believe that ICE raids are cruel, they are inhumane, they do nothing to serve in the interest of public safety. I've shared that directly with the president. I've shared that in public. It is a feeling that many New Yorkers share. And I also do believe that ICE as an entity is one that should be abolished and that we should return to an immigration system that has more humanity at the heart of it. And, as much as this is an off-topic question, we're also discussing the World Cup. The World Cup is supposed to be a celebration of the world as a whole. And some of the decisions that we've seen been taken by the federal administration, be it the denial of visas for journalists from certain countries or the rejection of a visa for a coach of a team, as well as single-day visas for specific foreign national teams, this is anathema to what this tournament is supposed to be about. If we cannot even allow the players, the teams, and the journalists covering those teams to come into this city and this country, then it begs a larger question about our commitment to the spirit of this tournament. And we want this to be a tournament that reflects our commitment to us being part of something larger than ourselves, and that's the world's game, which everyone should be able to be a part of.
Good, thank you.
Great take, by the way. And yes, not the first, nor will it be the last time that FIFA is cooperating with a fascist state, obviously. But there is a palpable irony, a sad irony to hosting a worldwide affair, which is supposed to be a celebration of internationalism, in the heart of American empire, while the United States of America is engaging in such egregious actions against migrants of all different backgrounds and tourists of all different sorts. And yes, they have already, from what I understand, they've literally barred entry to a referee from Somalia. Visa denials are coming in. The World Cup is here. Not everyone is welcome. As the FIFA World Cup gets underway on U.S. soil, a pattern of visa denials and border incidents is casting a dark shadow on the tournament. From Iraq, striker Ayman Hussein was held for nearly 7 hours at Chicago's O'Hare Airport notorious for the fucking Customs and Border Patrol detention process there. Your boy got fucking nabbed there too. Upon arrival for a pre-tournament friendly, the team's photographer was denied entry outright over what U.S. Customs and Border Protection described as vetting concerns, with no further details provided. Iraq is making its first World Cup appearance in 40 years, according to the Chicago Sun-Times. From Morocco, at least 90 fans from 2 major supporters groups were denied U.S. visas ahead of the tournament, most under a clause citing doubts about their intention to return home, despite documented travel histories to Russia in 2018, Qatar in 2022, and the Paris Olympics. Some lost tens of thousands of dirhams in non-refundable bookings. Somalia, FIFA-appointed referee Omar Artan was denied entry to the U.S. and immediately sent back, according to journalist Romain Molina. Even a diplomatic passport secured through the Somali embassy in Nairobi was not enough to gain entry. It's so fucking shameful, dude. This is not what America is supposed to be about. Okay? America is one of the most diverse countries on the planet. Sure, we have our problems with fucking racism, but god damn, dude. Yeah, 1936 Olympics vibes is right. It's so gross. It's so gross. We have been reduced to the worst version of ourselves. Really, really gross stuff. I don't know what else to say, man. And there will be, and this is some of the worst in America. Some of the worst in the United States of America will celebrate these decisions to be like, yeah, that's what it is, baby. Not everyone gets to come here. It's like, okay, well then don't host the fucking FIFA World Cup. Yeah, Iran's World Cup squad has been notified they must enter and leave U.S. soil on the same day of their matches played in America, says Tehran's ambassador to Mexico. Yeah, we've reached a point where Nazi Germany placed less restrictions on foreign participation in the 1936 Olympics than the United States for the upcoming FIFA World Cup, by the way. Dirty, rotten scoundrel Gianni Infantino must never be allowed to live down his obsequious sycophancy towards the U.S. leadership. It's true. 1936 Nazi Germany did not impose this level of restriction, as far as I understand. FIFA to blame, too? Of course FIFA is to blame. They've never met a fucking autocracy, a fascist dictatorship that they don't align with. At some point, you know, if it's a problem once, you're like, okay, maybe they missed the mark on this. If it's happening twice, you're like, okay, that's a little suspicious. But if it's so goddamn consistent, I'm not going to even entertain that Austin Ox post, okay? That's crazy. But if it happens so frequently, at some point you got to realize, oh, it's deliberate. It's by design. This is the whole purpose of FIFA, is to whitewash and sports wash and launder the reputation of countries that are, moving in a very dangerous manner. He had a diplomatic passport. Another massive insanity from the United States. Somali referee Omar Artan was denied entry into the United States even though he's supposed to officiate during the World Cup. Despite the strong support from the Somali embassy in Nairobi, which provided him with a diplomatic passport, Mr. Artan had to turn back upon arrival into the USA. We're talking about a person who was elected Best African Referee in 2025. I need you to understand something. Strong countries don't do this. Okay? This is a sign of American weakness. This is not a sign of American strength. Only the weakest people would look to this action and think, oh yeah, we're just doing force projection. Okay? That's it. This is shameful. It's disgusting. It's purely racist. And only a weak country would behave like this. A country that can't actually engage in the same force projection that it did in prior years will do this to some of the more vulnerable populations from countries that are the poorest countries on the planet. That's it. Italy held the second ever World Cup under Mussolini's control. That fucker cheated, bribed referees, and even nationalized South American players so they could play for the Italian team. FIFA has always been corrupt, and so is the World Cup. But even when it was hosted by fascist Italy, it did not go to the same racist lengths as Trump's U.S. Yeah. Yeah, it's an overcompensation. This is what you do when you're weak, okay? This is what a weak bully does, for the record. This is what a weak bully does. A weak bully that doesn't have the power any longer, a weak bully that recognizes that its power is waning on the global stage, will engage in this kind of belligerent action. Zara Mamdani says, soccer would not exist without immigrants. Immigrants play and coach the game, work in the stadiums, fill the stands, and make celebrations like the World Cup possible. 6 of the players on the U.S. men's national team are immigrants. We will not allow ICE or anyone else to sow fear in our communities, especially at this moment. As the world comes to our city, we will stand proudly with our immigrant neighbors and reject these attacks for what they are, an attempt to divide us.
Are you going to the meeting with the president while he's here in New York City? And then also, for you were saying that you...
China would never do this? Of 100%. Are you kidding me? That's not even a joke. I mean, Russia has not done this. And no, China would never do this either. They love opportunities like this to engage in sharing their culture with the rest of the world. Are you kidding me? This is soft power initiatives, okay? This is a huge opportunity to do soft power. And the Beijing Olympics did not operate like this at all. It operated in the exact opposite way. Yeah, China did not do this in 2008 or in 2022 when they hosted the Olympics. Yes. It also doesn't make sense because you're just cucking your own tourism money, right? So this also harms the interests of capital to a certain degree as well, which makes it even stranger. But here we are.
Purchased a standing room only ticket. I'm just not familiar. Did you get like a discount from the Garden through that, or was that just something you bought online on like Ticketmaster?
So that's something that I purchased directly from the Madison Square Garden. Close to $1,000 was the price of it, and standing room only is just the section that I'll be standing in. When it comes to the president, I don't have any scheduled meeting with the president. However, I'm sure that our conversations will continue about how to serve the city. Thank you.
Liz, go ahead. Last question. Just to follow up, when were those standing room only tickets released?
Bro, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? Move on, bro. Move on. Are we being for real right now? He should just be like, I'm the fucking mayor, dude. Come on. Come on. Come on. It's ridiculous. Oh, my God. The further left you go, the more you have to be a fucking saint. Okay? It's crazy. The media and the political class will punish you endlessly. You have to genuflect all the time. You have to get on your hands and knees and whip yourself. Okay? What is this question? Like, oh, how did you purchase it? How did you purchase from the Madison Square Garden? How'd you get it? Like, they're trying to obviously say that he used his position as mayor to get a ticket that should have gone to a working class New Yorker that had the capacity to purchase $1,000 ticket. It's so crazy. And it only goes in one direction. Remember, the double standard here is so glaringly obvious. And it's one that I've talked about so much. I know from my position, it's like, oh, Hassan, you're just doing this because you're defending your boy. Or you're going to say, oh, Hassan, you're doing this because you're a fucking hypocritical rich socialist. It's like, no, man. That's not the reason. I'm sick and tired of this fucking bullshit where we let the right do whatever the fuck they want, but the further left you go, the limitations are ridiculous. Would you apply this standard to any other politician? Would you be like, oh, how did you actually purchase the ticket? Explain how you purchased the ticket. We found the working class New Yorker that was supposed to get this ticket in your stead. Address this person now. Why did you steal this ticket? He's not only a working class New Yorker, it turns out it's a paraplegic orphan, as a matter of fact. You stole that ticket from a paraplegic orphan. How do you live with yourself, Mayor Mamdani? It's just like, can we dial it back? Can we be fucking normal for a brief moment, please? What the hell are we doing? Yeah, the paraplegic orphan was also Jewish, by the way. Classic. Classic anti-Semite, Zoran Mamdani. Why is nobody asking the president why the fuck he's at Madison Square Garden while he's literally ruining the global energy markets, ruining the American stock market, molesting the fucking money, destroying the goddamn planet? Why is nobody asking him that question? Hey, man, why is nobody asking Dolan that question? Hey, why'd you invite this fucking asshole to your box? No, because that's the president, and he's also right-wing. So, obviously, you get all the fucking amenities. You get all the goddamn amenities. You can do whatever the fuck you want. And the media will sit there and be like, well, he's the president, and he's also right-wing, so obviously he gets to do this. It only goes in the leftward direction, right? And I've talked about this. Even like I have no investment in defending Gavin Newsom. I have no interest in defending the liberal Democratic Party and the centrists in positions of power. But the right also deploy this kind of cynical framing against their left flank, right? Even if their left flank is center right, like the centrists in the in the Democratic Party, they will always do this. It only goes in the leftward direction. It can never be deployed towards the right. Or even if it is deployed towards the right, they just go, shut the fuck up, and they move on, and no one in the base turns around and goes, hold on now, that's actually a sincere request. And it's very frustrating. This kind of stuff only works if you are trying to be the best possible person you can be. It's so weird. It's so cynical. We don't ever like give breathing room to our leftist politicians.
You're a big Knicks fan, obviously. President Trump is going to the game tonight. Your reaction to that?
So I've had a few things to say about Donald Trump going to the Knicks game. And, at this point, it's game day. And I think Knicks fans just want to enjoy Game 3, the first home game that we've had in 27 years. But it also is not clear to me that Donald Trump is a big Knicks fan. I mean, does this guy even know the difference between Karl Rove and Karl Anthony Towns?
Mic drop. Oh my God, I'm flicking my bean right now. I know what I'm going to be jerking off to later. God, he is so sexual. He's so fucking hot, dude. Come on, don't even do it. Don't even do it. He's got the most aura, and you fucking know it, all right? He's got the most aura that any politician has ever had. He's got more aura in his pinky than you have in your entire fucking body. That's my goat right there. That's my sexual panther right there. That's a legend.
I don't think so. He's just injecting himself into the NBA Finals because he always has to bring the MAGA circus into town. And that's unfortunate. Thank you, everyone.
Also, Donald Trump does know who Cat is. He's actually defended
The President
Cat.
of the United States, Donald John Trump, may be more hated in his home state.
Anyway, Holy Toledo time, ladies and gentlemen. Holy Toledo. How unpopular is Trump in New York ahead of his Knicks game visit? Like I've said, I think Donald Trump's going to get booed into oblivion. I want to watch the game tonight, and I want to see first a camera on Donald Trump with thunderous boos, okay? And then I want the camera to be pinned on Zoran Mamdani with cheers. So loud you can hear it from Hoboken, no joking, okay? That's what I want to see. I want to see that juxtaposition. Someone needs to make this happen. They need to identify where the fuck the president is and where the fuck the real president of New York is, okay? Back to back, you will be remembered as a legendary camera operative. Someone needs to do that. ESPN will probably do anything but. I need to see this happen. Put that motherfucker on the Jumbotron back to back. Put both of them on the Jumbotron back to back. See how New Yorkers react to two different types of political representation.
of New York than the San Antonio Spurs. Because what are we talking about here? Let's take a look here. Trump's net approval rating in New York State. You know, you go back to January.
Bro, I think they're just straight up gonna call him a pedophile. I think they're gonna say pedophile president. I think they're gonna chant pedo president when Donald Trump's on the Jumbotron. Okay? There's 0% chance. This motherfucker was getting booed at like college football games, man. That's his demo. Young college white men, young college-age white men watching college football were fucking screaming at him, flipping him off and shit. There's no shot. There's no shot he gets a positive welcome at Madison Square Garden, dude.
January 2025, it was, you know, not so great, but not so terrible. 5 points underwater. But look at where he's fallen to now. He is now 30 points underwater on the net approval rating.
Yeah, Trump gets booed at national parks. Like, objectively better vibes-having places that Trump gets booed at.
In his home state of New York, a massive drop-off we have seen in his popularity in the Empire State.
And it's interesting, when you dig into some of these numbers, there were some groups, even in this very liberal state, that the president was doing well with.
Yeah, okay. You know, a lot of the people who might be getting screwed tonight, especially with that watch party getting canceled, are working class New Yorkers. And those are the voters who have turned most against the president of the United States. Okay, Trump's approval rating in New York State with incomes under 50,000. You know, back in January 2025, he was actually slightly above water, 1 point above water. But hey, 1 point above water is better than 1 point below water. But look at where he is now. A dramatic decline. My goodness gracious. Right down there into the Hudson River. He's now 36 points underwater, nearly a 40-point move against the president of the United States with working class New Yorkers, those with incomes under $50,000. And that is matching what we're seeing nationwide as well. And that is the president of the United States. Disproportionately, he is losing support among working class Americans, and he's disproportionately losing support among working class New Yorkers.
This is a pretty good number for January 25.
Yeah.
This isn't.
No.
It's dropped a lot.
One is good, one is really bad.
Okay, so New York's a big state with a lot of congressional districts, including a few swing races here. How are the congressional elections looking in this state?
Yeah, okay, so you know, you go back 8 years ago, New York was a very bad place for Republicans in the midterm elections during Trump's first midterm election. You look at the generic ballot in June of 2018, Democrats were ahead of it by 15 points in the Empire State. Look at where it is now. Democrats are even doing better than they were doing 8 years ago at this point. They were ahead by 19 points right now, and this 15 point, this led to a 3.
You think the rich will boo him? Yes. Yes, I do. It's not exactly going to be a working class crowd inside of Madison Square Garden tonight. And even then, I still suspect that they will boo him. Why? Because he's been molesting the money. And when he's molesting the money, he's molesting the rich people's money too. And this is New York City. A lot of the wealthy people in New York City still have immigrant family members. These are rich liberals in general, okay? I think some of you forget that there are plenty of wealthy liberals in this country, big libtards, okay? Who do you think is going? Like, think about it this way, Ben Stiller. You think Ben Stiller's the type of guy who's not going to boo the motherfucking president? Are you insane? The New York City elite don't fuck with Trump either, except for obviously the team owner, but what is this new Twitch CCV cap update? Earlier this month, we shared plans to cap CCV on channels our systems detect are receiving sustained, significant, inauthentic traffic, and will continue applying those caps as part of our ongoing ViewBot detection work. Now we're introducing a new optional view count cap feature that creators can use if they believe they're being targeted by bots. Set a cap based on your normal audience size, and we will cap your CCV to match that value. You can turn it on ahead of time as a preventative measure or enable it during a stream if you think your channel is being targeted. The optional cap stays in place until you turn it off. Partners will have access to this feature to start, and we plan to expand to our wider community soon. Note that you aren't required to turn the self-cap on. This feature is being offered to you to use as you deem appropriate, and you can use it as at your own discretion. We'll continue to explore ways to target view bots and protect our community from the botting across the board. To apply the optional cap, head to your navigate settings and stream manager. Why would anybody use this? I just don't understand it. Like, I've been ViewBot targeted before. I've been ViewBot targeted recently when I had Stavros on, when I was at like 200K or something. And it's just like a waste of time. I wouldn't, what am I supposed to do? cap it at 35K. You know what I mean? Like, what if there's 38,000 people watching at that point? I don't fucking know. They should just do it themselves if they really want to do it. The plan is to eventually force the cap if someone is constantly botting and not turning the cap on for themselves. I mean, yeah. If someone keeps botting me and they just do it, then yeah, I'm happy with that. This does seem pretty dumb. What's even the point of the display number? It's all about how it affects chat or real eyeballs. I know. I mean, they have no good solution for this problem, and I appreciate that they're trying to fix it. I just don't know how good this of a solution this is. You know what I mean? Let's continue.
See, loss for Republicans is Democrats.
Speaking of botted numbers, holy Toledo, everybody hates Donald Trump.
Went on to gain the majority. Now, there are not as many competitive races this time around, but Mike Lawler up in the Hudson Valley has to be looking at a number like this and has to be shivering because it turns out what happens.
Sub count should be your CCV cap. Okay, well, I've always had way more subscribers than I have live concurrent viewership because people are tuning in and out. Yeah.
At the top of the ballot with Donald John Trump manages oftentimes to find its way to down ballot
right
races.
Now we got
I think Mike Lawler sees this and says, I'm not so hot to trot. And you talk about the governor's races.
See? The logged in viewership number is at 27,826. That's a really solid percentage. That means that there's only 6,000 people that are watching that are not currently tuned like that are not currently logged in. Okay? There's a lot of passive viewership that's not logged in. But that's a normal percentage. There's anyway, the video is too loud and your audio is too low. I don't know why my fucking audio is capped at 30 on here, but
well, at the top of the ticket, this is another thing that may drain Republicans as well. Chance that Democrats win the 2026 gov race. According to Kalshi, it was 74% back at the beginning of Trump's second term. Look at where it is now. Kathy Hochul, the Democrat, sky high, 91%. These are the types of numbers that really should make Republicans quite worried in Donald John Trump's home state, where, as I said at the top, he may be the only thing that's more hated in New York than the San Antonio Spurs.
With us now, sports commentator Bomani Jones. He's the host of The Right Time with Bomani Jones podcast. Good to see you this morning. How do you think fans feel about this, having to arrive 2 hours before the game to get in because the president's going to be there?
Well, I think that's the part that will probably cause people more problems, regardless of who the person is, regardless of what the reason is, right? Like, you're going to need to get there early. On the bright side, I think that people who had tickets to this game would want to be there early. This is the most anticipated basketball game in this city in literally 56 years. So, I mean, people were going to be there probably as early as they could. It's just going to be an increased hassle and inconvenience.
I was in Connecticut, northern Connecticut yesterday, out on the streets, and people were yelling, "Go Knicks." Like out of nowhere, like out of context, they were concerned about that. It's a huge, huge deal around here. Bomani, I will say, though, that given how important this is to people, there are mixed feelings about the president being there and throwing that political element into it. I did speak to House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries about this. He is a native New Yorker. Listen to what he said.
I'm not sure it's going to be a good reception for him, but why does Donald Trump always have to ruin a good thing? Like, literally, the Knicks haven't been in the NBA Finals for 27 years. The city is trying to celebrate this. We've embraced this team, and this guy has to inject himself. I mean, come on, seriously, give us a break. Why doesn't this guy just focus on trying to improve the quality of life of the American people? Because the Trump economy has been a disaster.
So what about the mixture or the injection, as he says, of politics into sports, Bomani?
No, this isn't about the injection of politics into sports. This is about the injection of Trump into sports. If this were just about any other president, I don't think it would go over the way that it would. This is specifically about this man whose relationship with his hometown is fraught, I think would be a fair thing to point out. But in this time, in this moment with this guy, ain't nobody really trying to hear this. Like, what was the most surprising thing about it to me is that Trump normally turns up at like college football games, places that for him are home games. This is not a home game no matter where he's from. This is an away game. I am surprised that this is something that he wants to do because he typically thrives on positive affirmation, and he ain't gonna get none of that on Madison Square Garden, like not a bit.
It's an interesting take. This is not a home game for the president, despite being from New York. Bomani Jones, great to see you. Thanks for sticking around.
With the New York Knicks about to host their first NBA final.
It is actually interesting that he's choosing to do this as a power play. I certainly don't think it's going to work. Trump with maybe the most impressive bad vibes move of my lifetime. I mean, doing this amidst a global crisis that he is responsible for makes it even funnier. Because remember, he's doing this shit while Israel and Iran are beating on one another. It's just so incredibly fucking dumb. Trump is like that one person who comes to a party anyways after not being invited for a reason and immediately ruins the fucking vibes. Yeah, I know.
Finals game since 1999. The city preparing for another historic moment. The first sitting US president to attend an NBA Finals game. CNN's Gloria Pazmino filed this report.
Well, it's going to look very different outside Madison Square Garden on Monday night, and that's because this area is going to be closed off to traffic and to pedestrians. So we're not going to see the usual scenes of celebration and fans gathering at the game that we have been seeing in the last few games. And that's because the watch party has...
I'm telling you, bro, if the Knicks lose tonight, it's literally because of Donald Trump. There's no other reason for it. It's not because like Wemby locked in, okay? It's not because they found a way to fucking defeat the Knicks defense. It's not because they were able to stop the Knicks offense. It's just Donald Trump. There's no other reason for this to take place. They're so up right now. New York as a city is so goddamn up right now. Donald Trump is coming in to fucking deliver the worst kind of juju.
Officially been canceled. The reason for that is the presidential visit. Trump is expected to attend Monday night's game, and that means there's going to be intense.
The real fucking five-head script here is Adam Silver's doing this to extend the finals. You know what I mean? Adam Silver was like, we bring in the vibes assassin Donald Trump, and he just like fucks everything up.
Security protocols going into the event. For anyone who is attending this game, they're being asked to arrive at least 2 hours early. They will have to go through double layers of security, essentially airport-style security. So arrive early, arrive prepared, and just know that this area is going to be very hard to access unless you have tickets to attend the game. The fact that the watch party is canceled, surely a disappointment for a lot of fans, for a lot of Knicks fans who have been relying on the watch party to watch the games and attend the celebrations. Take a listen.
Personally, I think it's kind of a shame. I really would like it, because we've been waiting for this for like how long? And, a lot of people can't afford to get into the game. I'm one of those people.
Bro, I was walking the streets of New York earlier today. There are Knicks banners everywhere. Okay? Straight up. City looks and feels like Tehran when the IRGC is like striking Israel. You know when they do those like mass events outside where they're like, oh, keep bombing Tel Aviv, please. Like it literally feels like that, but for the Knicks.
So I was actually looking forward.
Shit looks like when the Ansar Allah do those big ass meetings, those big ass rallies outdoors. Okay. Straight up.
To going to one of these watch parties.
This is a monumental day in New York City, and you're gonna cancel it. It's all right. We're gonna find a way, okay? If you guys know real New Yorkers, we gonna find a way.
And like he could say he's a native New Yorker, but he doesn't live here, and he's kind of pooped on us for a while, and so like I think this is our time. And
Maya Trump.
Get fucked, loser.
Who is this actually about?
He's distracting from our time.
We don't need that negativity. We need nothing but positive vibes.
That was so un-New York to clean that word up and say poop.
It was very nice of him to say.
It was very nice.
So that we could put it on television. But, there is no area in New York like being outside of Madison Square Garden after a Knicks game. Never mind.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see being in the crosshairs of this vicious woman, Maya Higa. As Alveus has defeated me thoroughly, I've been mogged or mooged if you want to call it that, by Winnie the Moo. So thoroughly felled, so thoroughly defeated. I used to be in the top 3. I used to be in the top 3 most subscribed channels on this goddamn platform, folks. I was up there. Obviously, I'm never defeating Keizo, right? I'm never defeating Jinxie, but I was up there nonetheless until Alveus came in and swept the title away. Now I don't even know if I'm in 4th place any longer. Let's be real. Chud-ass loser style. Please subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service. You already know, the People's Broadcasting Service. This broadcast runs 0 ads is for you, the people, and by you, the people.
A finals game. As you said, the atmosphere in the city for the past few days has been just electric. You know, people are so excited. I would even say that everyone is being a little bit nicer. We're all a little bit happier. We're being kinder to each other. But there was a lot of folks that I spoke to yesterday who were not so thrilled that the president's going to be in town for this one, because it's going to mean, you know, there's going to be this massive security presence. The watch party's been canceled for tonight, so people who cannot get into the garden can't go to the watch party. There'll be other watch parties around the city, but I do think that, you know, it's going to be a very different kind of vibe inside the garden. You know, the energy, I think, will be on the game, on the Knicks. I think that's what true Knicks fans will be focused on. A lot of New Yorkers will be focused on, and we'll see what reception the president gets in that arena tonight. He is a New Yorker, but he is not a very popular or beloved New Yorker.
Well, and you can feel it. I mean, we're not that far from Madison Square Garden right now. You can already feel not just the excitement, but the security intensifying, understandably. He's the president of the United States. He's not the only high-profile political figure who's going. The mayor of New York City is going. Listen to what Zohran Mamdani said this morning.
I bought my tickets for nearly $1,000 from Madison Square Garden. I'll be going to tonight's game.
You look sad. I'm not. Buddy, I'm in New York City. I'm in Mamdanistan. It's 76 degrees and sunny here. It's beautiful. I'm just tired. I flew in on a red eye to get here so I could do a bunch of different media hits beforehand. And I didn't get a lot of sleep. So that's it. I want to hear what, so we know what Zohran said, but I want to hear what Dana Fash has to say about Zohran purchasing that ticket. I suspect she's going to have something really cool to say.
3, and I'll be standing for the duration of the game.
Standing room only, $1,000.
It's incredible. And you know, I was on Instagram earlier, and there were reels that came upon my feed that were encouraging people how to boo inside of this. This is his hometown, so I think Madison Square is going to be absolutely lit tonight as both a sporting event and a political event.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just excited to be on TV talking about sports. This is about time. No, I mean, I have 2 kids, and my older son was sorting through his M&Ms this weekend and pulling out the blue and the oranges. Like, these are Knicks colors, and we're making Sundays. So even if he's not a Knicks fan growing up, he's becoming one all of a sudden.
And just going back to Donald Trump, we mentioned that he isn't a Knicks fan.
Dana Bash. And of course, as we know, Jewish New Yorkers are standing by the state of Israel. So how does this play into tonight's game and Zohran's attendance? Yeah, Zohran Mamdani will be standing by watching the Madison Square, standing by and watching the Knicks play at Madison Square Garden. Meanwhile, many Jews will be standing outside, hoping that the mayor doesn't engage in another heinous act of anti-Semitism, which, by the way, his standing room only seat was taken away from a Jewish New Yorker, and therefore I choose to assume that this was an anti-Semitic act. The ADL database has been informed. This will be logged as an anti-Semitic incident. What?
After day 2, chat. After day 2. Oh. Oh, hey, chill. Okay. Chill. Put the camera.
Chill. What the hell is going on, bro? This is Japan. This is in Japan. We don't give a fuck. What happened? They used to be, the Japanese were way more chill. I feel like it's, the attitudes have changed.
And it has been. And we went into the vault and found some photos of the president here back. Wait, oh, is that Elliot Gould with Marla Maples? There you see he's with Melania, Howard Stern, Bill O'Reilly. I also want to go even further. If we go back to 1999, yep, that's President Trump, or then just Donald Trump with JFK Jr.
I mean, look, this is going to be an iconic night. That was an iconic night. The last time that the Knicks were in the finals, 1999. The Knicks draw some of the biggest celebrities in New York. Spike Lee has been going to these games for longer than I've been alive, waiting for the big one. He might finally get it.
Bro, am I crazy, or is Dana Bash kind of glazing Trump a little bit?
New York as it gets. And I think, to your point about sports and politics, I think, in this time that we're living in, we see that often sports can become extremely political. And I think we might see some of that on display tonight, because it is the Garden, because it is New York. And people's emotions are running high about the president's visit, about the game, and about where we are right now.
This morning. All right, now now that we talked about Donald Trump. Oh, also, the last thing I wanted to show you is, Jews are not safe in New York. Jews in New York. It turns out Fat Joe was not lying. That's crazy. Can you dance like that? No, I cannot get sturdy like that. All right. The city is united. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to Israel and Iran. A lot of people are excited at the clash between the Spurs and the Knicks. But here's another clash taking place in the Middle East. As you guys know, yesterday, after Israel struck Beirut, in spite of Iran's warnings not to do so, Iran decided to take matters into its own hands and escalate and strike Israel proper, which they did. I covered it in real time. By the time I had ended the broadcast, Donald Trump was basically giving every Western and even some Israeli newspapers choice quotes about how he was the boss. He was boss baby. And that Israel had to abide by his commands. It turns out Israel did not play that game, however, and by the time I had ended the broadcast and was making my way to Los Angeles Airport, Israel had already struck Iran. Israel then continued to strike Iran in spite of Donald Trump saying, no more striking, it's done. Striker, no striking.
Israel and Iran trading attacks, the first since the ceasefire was announced in April, after President Trump reportedly said he was going to tell Israel not to fire back at Iran. This morning, Trump posting, Israel and Iran must immediately stop shooting. The situation spiraling out of control overnight. Iran firing multiple waves of ballistic missiles at northern Israel. Iran retaliating after Israel launched strikes Sunday against Iranian-backed Hezbollah in the Lebanese capital, Beirut. Israel saying it was responding after the militant group fired into Israel. After Iran's initial missile barrage late Sunday, President Trump getting on the phone with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Over the weekend, the president warning Israel not to retaliate against Iran. The president...
Yeah, and his warnings, lo and behold, were not listened to. If you recall yesterday, I said, I'll believe it when I see it. I was a little bit more restrained, although somewhat hopeful that Donald Trump seemingly was taking a stronger stance. But of course, as it turns out, that strong stance amounted to absolutely nothing. If you recall, I said, and tweeted out, if this isn't theater, I said, if this is real and not theater, it's a huge step in the right direction where Iran has dealt such significant damage that Trump is willing to let Israel receive penalties from it for actively violating a potential ceasefire. Going forward, Israel's calculation as a spoiler changes. Well, it turns out it was actually not real, and it was actually theater, because Benjamin Netanyahu does what Benjamin Netanyahu wants. All of the begging, Bibi, stop, Khalil, no. It amounted to nothing. We know who the shot caller is. Yep. Trump tells the Financial Times that Israel would have no choice but to accept whatever deal the U.S. negotiates with Iran. He won't have any choice. I call the shots. I call all the shots. Netanyahu doesn't call the shots. Yep, turns out, buddy. Oh, buddy. Now, of course, to add insult to injury, a lot in American news media will not reference this, but Israel does not have the operational capacity to actually strike Tehran without American involvement. So even if America turns around and says, oh, we didn't have anything to do with this, I need you to understand that it's a lie. Without Stratotanker support from the United States of America, without American Stratotankers flying in coordination with the Israeli Air Force, the Israeli pilots are not capable of making that flight and striking Tehran or striking any place on Iranian soil. Israel does not have any Stratotanker refuelers. In order to make that trip, the American Air Force aided and abetted Israel in striking Iran. So not only did Donald Trump do this kind of song and dance where he claimed last night that he holds all the cards and he controls the shots, he's the real shot caller, Israel was able to do its bidding against Donald Trump's wishes, against Donald Trump's, public posture. And he was able to and Israel was able to do this with American support.
Reportedly telling Axios, quote, I'm calling Netanyahu right now and telling him not to attack Iran in response, adding, each of them had their fun. Israel had its strike and Iran had its strike. We don't need another one. But Israel did retaliate. This morning, the IDF saying it conducted a wave of strikes on western and central Iran, including a petrochemical plant.
Also, the pattern of these strikes are also interesting from the Israeli side. The fact that they're hitting civilian infrastructure instead of trying to deteriorate the Iranian military capacity could mean one of two things. Okay? Either it means that Israel has completely given up on trying to deteriorate Iranian strike capabilities because they recognize now that it's virtually impossible. It's a wash. It's not going to happen, as evidenced by the last 101 days of Operation Epic Fury. Or they're doing this, they're hitting oil infrastructure rather than hitting their military capabilities because, once again, they just have given up on a long, extended conflict or even stopping Iran from striking Israel in any meaningful capacity. It doesn't matter what the calculation on the Israeli side is, however, it's still obviously terrorism, and they're engaging in it. And Iran has seemingly backed away for the time being, unless Israel hits Beirut again. I suspect if Israel hits Beirut again, Iran will probably strike back at Israel proper once again. Just so you understand. Here's Trita Parsi's analysis on it. Oh, also, this is interesting. They're using interceptors made in 2026. That's also interesting as well. Israel is very well aware that it just has an X amount of tickets to have a dance with Iran. Is it a good idea to use one? Further depleting missile defenses like tonight. The criticality of this factor is of great importance for Israel decision-making, a rare luxury capability. Israel has now responded militarily to Iran, defying Trump's publicly expressed wishes. Israeli commentators have been explicit that Israel could not allow Iran to establish a new regional equation, one in which Tehran successfully extended deterrence over Lebanon. But by defying Trump, Israel has done more than challenge Iran's new equation. It has also undermined Trump's credibility. The ball is now back in both Tehran's and Trump's court. If Israel's defiance carries no consequences, it will reinforce the view in Iran that Trump either cannot or will not restrain Israel. From Tehran's perspective, yeah, that photo is early. That photo is older. It's from May, I think, or it's from a couple months old, which makes it even worse. From Tehran's perspective, a deal with Washington has little value if the United States is unable or unwilling to curb Israeli actions. An unconstrained Israel would only increase the likelihood of renewed conflict and continued efforts to draw the United States back into war. Trump, meanwhile, appears unwilling to spend the political capital necessary to rein in Netanyahu beyond angry phone calls and tough public statements, unless he knows that he has a deal with Iran. Taking on Israel is no easy task in Washington from Trump's perspective. It's only worth doing if an agreement with Iran is already secured. In short, Trump is willing to restrain Israel to preserve a deal, but not to obtain one. What is this? Caspian report? We built our own CIA-like intelligence hub? No, I'm good, man. Iran's terms to end the war: give Iran its own money back. 2, tell Israel to stop attacking Lebanon and mean it. Some rather extreme demands there. No wonder Trump can't find a way to cut a deal. After the tit for tat, by the way, Iran did say that the latest attacks would be the last ones. But they also are implying once again that if Israel escalates on Beirut, right, they'll probably strike back. They have to in order to maintain military deterrence.
Iran responding with a fresh barrage. In Jerusalem, Israeli air defense intercepting missiles. Just over 100 days into the war, the president facing growing pushback about a conflict he initially said would be over in a matter of weeks. Over the weekend, Trump falsely claiming he never promised the American people no new wars.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. Why?
Dude. Oh, yeah. Israel Truth Network. Is your candidate being funded by Islam? You know what's really crazy? They do this like vulgar racism. Can you imagine if AIPAC Tracker was just like Jew Tracker or something, where they like weren't just calculating AIPAC donors and other subsidiary organizations that are like fundraising for candidates, but instead they were like, if any Jewish donor has ever donated. Because like some will say, oh, it's the same thing. It's not the same thing, right? These are simply pro-Israel donations coming from right-wingers, Christian Zionists, and everybody else, right? But these guys, because Islamophobia is perfectly normalized and perfectly normal and rewarded in American society broadly, can turn around and just be like, oh, this is Islam donations. These are the Muslims. Okay? I don't even know what the tracker is actually tracking, ironically enough. But you know, just some more regular, normal Israeli politics making its way to American politics.
Would I have built the strongest military in the world?
But on the campaign trail,
I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace.
And guys, this is a major test of President Trump's ability to de-escalate the situation. No one has been killed or injured here in Israel in those missile strikes.
Yeah, dog, he doesn't have any ability to de-escalate any situation. Okay, let's be real. He can't de-escalate. He can't de-escalate his way out of a fucking paper bag. What is the test? This is the same Brandonization that we saw, man. They're dog walking the American administration once again. It's so stupid. I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. Like, oh yeah, there's no measures that you could deploy. Yeah, there are, okay? Israel knows that there are plenty of measures that they could deploy. That's why they spend a good deal of time, effort, and money to ensure that no one who actually would ever dare to deploy any of those measures is anywhere near proximity to power, okay? That's why they spend so much fucking money on AIPAC and all these other shell corporations and shit. So stupid.
But despite President Trump's plea for calm, an Israeli military official telling us IDF operations are ongoing and could last several days or, quote, as long as it takes. George?
Okay, Tom. Let's get more on this from our chief Washington correspondent, John Carlin. John, let's pick up right there. Israel and Iran both defying President Trump here.
Absolutely, and the president has been up very early this morning, posting on social media, pleading with both of them to stop the attacks. He is trying to salvage what is left of his ceasefire, clearly worried not just about the Iranian actions, but that his ally, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, will blow up what is left of those peace talks. You saw Tom reference that interview with Axios. The words were quite stark. He said that he was calling Netanyahu right now and telling him not to attack Iran. Each of them had their fun, and Iran had its strike. We don't need another one. And, George, at about the same time, the president did an interview.
It's embarrassing. This is fucking embarrassing. It's totally ridiculous. Yeah. Donald Hussein Trump slowly learning that he can't resolve international crisis he unleashed with his typical bullshit artistry. Time for tough decisions. The only choices left on account of the strategic miscalculations make even Obama look like a visionary. They had their fun is such a funny thing to say. Yeah, meanwhile, the commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Quds Force, Esmail Qaani, said a new security belt of resistance will be established with the Strait of Hormuz to the Bab el-Mandeb Strait off Yemen and from the Gulf to the Red Sea, according to comments carried by state media. So the Ansar Allah is now involved. The Ansar Allah have said they are going to start stopping ships that are transiting through the Red Sea into Israel. So they've reestablished their blockade. They're going to engage ships militarily. Iranian officials use the term resistance or acts of resistance to refer to Iranian allies in the region, including Yemen's Houthis. Yemen's Houthis have also opened fire on Israel as well. The more this Bidenist idea of a ceasefire, the invention of the post-October 7th world where a ceasefire means Israel can still do whatever it wants forever, but no one can respond to it, is picked apart bit by bit, the more the world can potentially return to some semblance of sanity. Yeah, sometimes you got to break things to rebuild it, I guess.
With the Financial Times, and he said that Benjamin Netanyahu would have to go along with whatever peace deal he gets with Iran. He won't have any choice. I call the shots. I call all the shots. He doesn't call the shots. But, George, despite all of that and despite the phone call that he had with Prime Minister Netanyahu, Israel obviously went on and attacked Iran. Now the president is saying that his peace deal is still on the verge. He's been saying that for now months, saying only subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in the way.
And this is hitting home again. Oil prices spiking overnight.
Yeah, oil prices are up, which means gas prices will be up more. The toll of the economy, hitting voters here as Republicans fear for a very difficult midterm elections.
John Carl, thanks.
A wave of...
Are we going to get Epstein drops this week? I don't know, because, Benjamin Netanyahu showed the world that he is the real boss and making the real boss calls anyway. So maybe there's no need for Epstein drops, some strategically placed Epstein drops, after all, considering that the Trump restraint was nothing.
Iranian missiles fired towards Israel.
For the record, I will reassert this position once again. There is no Israeli military action without the American go-ahead here. So if America turns around and says, oh, we didn't have anything to do with this, I don't believe it, okay? That's a little bit more believable if you're talking about Beirut, and even then I don't believe it. I don't think Israel gets to do any of this shit without, America's sanction, America's go-ahead. But especially when it comes to striking Tehran, striking Iranian soil, there is no doubt in my mind that America absolutely okayed those strikes after Trump turned around and fucking claimed that wasn't the case. Turned around claimed that they didn't want that. I-24, Israel fears that Trump will restrict freedom of action in Lebanon and seek to reduce the intensity of the fighting, not only in the Dahia district in Beirut, but generally throughout the country. Israeli officials are working around the clock to prevent such a move. See? Yeah. America has complete power over Israel. America could still, at any step it wanted to, make one fucking pivotal phone call and change the dynamic of this conflict. You understand me? It's still the case. It was always the case, and it will still continue to be the case. Do with that information what you will. It's just the truth. Okay? The idea that this is that Israel is a sovereign nation state that gets to do whatever it wants, and bully the American leadership is silly. They are bullying the American leadership regardless, and it's fucking utterly humiliating. Having said that, however, America still holds all the cards. They're just choosing not to enforce it. I don't know why they're not choosing to enforce those cards. Hello, my mother. Hello to my mother's favorite. What up, NMP Law? What does your mom think about me wearing suits recently? I feel like your mom would love that.
Testing an already fragile ceasefire. Tehran says the attacks are a direct response to Israel's ongoing military assault on Lebanon, a campaign it accuses the US of supporting.
The US is directly responsible. They are party to the ceasefire negotiations. Therefore, any event or any act in violation of the ceasefire, be it through the interception of vessels, the targeting of southern Lebanon by Israel, or any other event, will cause the United States to be directly responsible for the escalation in the region.
Israel launched a wave of retaliatory strikes. Initial attacks targeted areas including the capital Tehran, Tabriz and Esfahan. It also hit a petrochemical complex in Mashhad.
Yesterday, the Iranian terror regime violated the ceasefire after 2 months. It opened fire and launched toward Israel. We attacked the petrochemical complex in Mashhad in southwestern Iran. In this complex, materials and components essential to the regime's missile program were produced.
In response, Iran struck a petrochemical facility in Haifa. It's also targeted 2 Israeli air bases, but many of the interceptions were above the occupied West Bank, over Palestinian homes. The escalation is pulling in other regional actors.
The Yemeni armed forces affirmed the following. First, we declare a complete and total ban on Israeli maritime navigation in the Red Sea, and we consider all enemy movements to be legitimate military targets for our armed forces from the moment that this statement is issued.
US President Donald Trump told Israel and Iran to immediately stop attacking each other, insisting a diplomatic solution is still viable. Julie Dager, Al Jazeera.
Sure.
CNN is now learning that Israel was preparing to launch a new significant attack in Tehran when President Trump stepped in earlier this morning. An Israeli source and a U.S. official familiar with the matter say that President Trump told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to hold off on any more retaliatory strikes. This was during the pair's second phone call in fewer than 24 hours. Let's go now live to Tel Aviv with CNN's Jeremy Diamond. Jeremy, what more are we learning?
Yeah, that's right, Boris. Last night, President Trump did not succeed in his earlier conversation with Prime Minister Netanyahu in getting Israel to hold off and not retaliate against Iran. We saw overnight 2 waves of Israeli strikes inside Iran, one targeting military sites, the other targeting a petrochemical facility after Iran fired multiple barrages of ballistic missiles. But then earlier today, the 2 got on the phone once again, and President Trump again urged Prime Minister Netanyahu not to retaliate further against Iran. And despite the fact that Israel, according to these sources, had several additional waves of attacks planned in Iran, bigger even than what we saw overnight, the Israeli Prime Minister seems to have called those attacks off at the urging of the U.S. president. And then this is what Prime Minister Netanyahu told the public.
At the moment, the fire has ceased because after we struck the terror regime in Tehran, it stopped attacking us. If the terror regime in Iran makes the mistake of attacking us again, we will respond with force.
And so while we have now reached a point where both Israel and Iran have said that they will not attack each other any further for the time being, there is still hanging in the air this very real possibility of this conflict resuming once again. And that's not only because of what you just heard from the Israeli Prime Minister, but especially because of what we've heard from Iran. Iran's military command saying in a statement that should Israel attack Iran, but also should Israel carry out additional attacks in southern southern Lebanon, then Iran will retaliate, and will retaliate with more force than what we saw in these initial waves of ballistic missile attacks over the last 24 hours. That is a very new and very concerning new red line from Iran, because it goes much further than what we had heard before. Iran previously warned that should Israel strike Beirut, the Lebanese capital, then Iran would strike Israel. And that's exactly what happened last night. And so now for Iran to be saying that this red line has moved, that it's now about southern Lebanon, presents the real possibility of this conflict resuming, because Israel is vowing to intensify its attacks against the Iranian proxy in Lebanon, Hezbollah, whose stronghold is indeed in southern Lebanon. And so this remains a very tense situation. That being said, in Israel, the restrictions on activity have been largely removed across the country. Students are expected to go back to school tomorrow after classes were canceled today. But again, Israel's military and the region at large.
Why are all the news anchors based in Tel Aviv? I mean, it's the new capital of the country. Like, why do you think there were plenty of? Why do you think the White House press, the White House press corps is oftentimes stationed outside of Washington D.C. or back in the day they used to be? That's where the president is, right? That's where the White House is. Well, the new White House is in Tel Aviv, so of course you got to be close to where the decisions are actually being made. You know.
Remains on a heightened state of alert, again, because of these threats as it relates to Lebanon. Boris?
It's notable, Jeremy, that Netanyahu did not actually mention the ceasefire in his statement. Do we know where talks stand right now? The last we'd heard, there was an impasse. CNN reported through Fred Pleitgen, who is in Iran right now, that their position was that until the United States froze some $24 billion in assets, there was not going to be a memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, I mean, listen, President Trump seems convinced that they are still in those final stages of negotiations, but we've been hearing that from the president for several weeks now, effectively. But the president said that to Prime Minister Netanyahu. It seems to have been part of his argument to the prime minister for holding off on additional strikes, because he believes that a deal may be at hand. So, it's very hard to judge and to assess at this stage how close these two sides truly are. It seems that there are still disagreements over some of the very same issues that there were disagreements over several weeks ago, over, the state of the frozen assets, how quickly they would be released, as well as Iran's commitments to actually, remove its enriched uranium that remains inside of the country in further rounds of negotiations. The Israeli prime minister, it should be noted, still has very little confidence in those negotiations actually going forward. And now there is still this very real threat of additional Israeli attacks in Lebanon, bringing forward another round of ballistic missile fire from Iran. And that could again complicate further these negotiations with Iran. That's why President Trump has been intervening directly to get the Israeli government to kind of pare back and scale back its attacks on Iran, its retaliation. All of this hanging in the balance right now. Boris?
First of all, I think it's important to remember how this started. This started with a negotiated ceasefire under Trump administration auspices last week between Lebanon and Israel, and it's Hezbollah in Lebanon that violated that ceasefire. Oh. And now it's the Iranian regime in Tehran that's trying to challenge it by sending missiles at Israel for what it accuses Israel of doing, violating a ceasefire. So really, this is about Iran trying to flex its muscle.
Shit, my mistake. I forgot. Israel is obviously allowed to invade Lebanon and continue invading Lebanon and secure additional territory inside of Lebanon. I mean, what the fuck is this analysis, man? Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, they get to do it. It's for emotional support. They have to do it. CNN, dude. How will this be more pro-Israel after the Ellison purchase? I don't even know. I genuinely physically don't. I don't know how they can literally be more pro-Israel.
In those final days before there's some sort of negotiation between the United States and Iran over that war.
Yeah, Iran has been demanding that the U.S. agree to unfreeze billions of dollars in frozen assets held in foreign banks. Trump is, of course, concerned about any comparison to the JCPOA and the Obama deal, and his repeated refrain about pallets of cash being sent to Iran. Ultimately, if Iran is saying that unless these assets are unfrozen, there won't even be a discussion over a memorandum of understanding, isn't that a step that the United States may have to take?
Yeah, these are really difficult choices for President Trump. I think what we've seen in the recent days is Iran testing his resolve. Is he willing to go back to war, or is he really desperate for an off-ramp to this war? And what they are saying is, you know, this $24 billion, and clearly he is feeling boxed in by Republicans in Congress who were so critical of that Obama-era deal. And so I think the challenge for him is, how does he save face, make the case that this war was worth it given the situation we're in?
No, Trump is not boxed in by the Republican Party. Trump does whatever the fuck he wants. As a matter of fact, if he moved in the opposite direction here, there would be some Israeli lobbyist Republican congresspersons who would shit on him. But if there's one guy who's capable of actually commandeering the party in this direction, it's Donald Trump. He's not boxed in by the Republican Party. He's boxed in by Israel. Okay? That's it. The idea that the Republican Party would oppose this decision when clearly gas prices have gotten completely out of hand, and then, you know, he's actively molesting the money, actively engaging in money molestation. When the restraint being placed upon Trump is coming from anything but Israel is a silly analysis. The entire idea of military strategy is doing the time out, time in trick in a fight and getting pissed off when someone starts hitting them back. Yeah. Literally, over and over again. Perfidy, every single time.
Now, and I think then there's a challenge of, is some level of sanctions relief or unfreezing these funds going to be something that Trump can justify to those hardliners who want to see a maximalist negotiation, when clearly what his team is doing here is a quite minimal, almost an open the Strait of Hormuz and end the U.S.
I don't believe that there is any real restraint being enforced by Trump on the Israeli side. Just want to put that out there. Trump told me that he'd warned Netanyahu that if he went back to war with Iran, he might find himself fighting alone. I said, Bibi, you better be careful or you're on your own very soon, Trump said. Bullshit. Suck my dick. How many times have we heard that? I'm sorry. That is fucking bullshit. Okay, that's complete and utter nonsense. How many times have we heard this exact same sentiment from now 2 different administrations? It's pure theater. It's pure theater, nothing else. Trump has already been Brandonizing at an alarming rate, but this is full Brandonization, baby. Full tilt Brandon. Iranian official to Al Jazeera, Washington has made changes to the draft memorandum of understanding, and this is unacceptable. No agreement can be reached if our frozen funds are not released and the sanctions are not lifted. Stability and security in the region can only be achieved through the existence of a genuine deterrence mechanism against aggressions. Nonsense. There's got to be a certain point where there's got to be a turning point for Americans, right? Even the remaining base of support for Trump, that looks at what's unfolding and goes, all right, enough is enough. Like, who's the real president here?
Naval blockade and push everything else down the road.
The U.S. apparently is planning to allow Iranian assets to be used to support rebuilding Gulf countries, U.S. allies that have been impacted by Iranian attacks. Iran is calling that plan absurd. Is there anything Tehran can do to push back? Could this ultimately be a bargaining chip in the broader negotiation?
Well, first of all, Tehran certainly still has chips that they can play. They continue to demonstrate that they're capable and willing and prepared to launch missile and drone attacks on Gulf countries. About this potential using of Iranian frozen funds to reconstruct Gulf countries, I don't think I've seen any Gulf reactions to this. It's very reminiscent of European decisions to ring-fence frozen Russian funds in Europe for Ukraine reconstruction. And I don't recall the Gulf countries being very supportive of that a couple of years ago. So there's
ridiculous. We're going to use Iranian funds, stolen Iranian assets that are frozen right now, to rebuild the Gulf nations. And even higher, there is no likelihood that this happens. It's a complete violation of trust. If anything, the more likely scenario is America's going to force the Gulf nation's hand into rebuilding Iran for the damage that we caused in Iran.
From the Iranian capital, as the government here says its missile strikes are over so long as Israel doesn't bomb Lebanon. Israel, in turn, says that it will not attack Iran, but insists it will respond if Hezbollah in Lebanon once again fires rockets at northern Israel. So the war that exploded back into life suddenly last night is still tonight only a hair trigger away, a thin line of deterrence and bluster holding the warring parties back as President Trump tries to strike a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And fighting goes on in southern Lebanon between Hezbollah and Israeli forces. We report from the Christian village.
It is pretty crazy that Channel 4 is literally in Tehran as Israel is striking Tehran. Perhaps the worst time to be there, big dog.
Remains almost untouched next to the Shia Muslim village, totally destroyed.
Our message in our church, the peace.
But we're hearing the sound of war all around us.
Of course, all the night you will hear this is the music.
Also tonight, the Prime Minister says tech companies must stop children sending and receiving nude pictures or he will change the law. But is he about to announce a social media ban for the...
What the fuck? Oh, they just added this. Okay. All right, let's get back to Iran-Israel related stuff.
So Iran says it will stop attacking Israel, and Israel says it will stop attacking Iran at Donald Trump's request. Here's how it unfolded after 25 hours of confrontation. Iran began launching waves of missiles towards Israel overnight in response to those Israeli strikes on Beirut on Sunday. The initial target was Ramat David Air Base, considered by Tehran as crucial to Israel's war with Hezbollah. Iran's Revolutionary Guard said it also targeted 2 air bases further south. While Israel's defense system was largely effective, homes were damaged in this Israeli settlement in the north of the occupied West Bank. Israel has fired back, with loud blasts heard in Tehran, Isfahan and Tabriz. This petrochemical facility in Mashhad to Iran's southwest was also hit. Yemen's Iranian-backed Houthis also fired on Israel, and they've threatened Israeli vessels in the Red Sea, which could have a huge impact on another crucial shipping lane for global trade. In a moment,
it seems they actually managed to hit the air bases. False color layer gives a better result, even in low resolution. We can confirm that the warehouse in Ramat David Air Base was indeed destroyed. An impact site was spotted on Ramat David Air Base on Sentinel-2 low-resolution satellite imagery this morning. Likely a warehouse destroyed by an Iranian missile. This you, Onk? No, it's not me.
We're speaking to our international editor, Lindsay Hilsum, in Beirut, and our U.S. editor, Anushka Astana, in Washington. But first, with a full roundup of the day's events, here's our foreign affairs correspondent, Porrick O'Brien.
Donald Trump continues to insist we're on the brink of peace. The view from Iran last night looked like the edge of a return to war. Regime supporters in Iran cheered as some of at least 20 ballistic missiles flew overhead, launched at Israel. They were either intercepted or hit open areas with no casualties. But this was the first direct Iranian missile attack on Israel in almost 2 months. Then this morning, Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen came out of the ceasefire woodwork, fired 2 ballistic missiles at Israel. Neither reached their targets. Then, with echoes of their previous attacks on the Red Sea, declared a blockade on Israeli ships there, although most shipping traffic already avoids this area. All of this retaliation for Israeli strikes on Hezbollah-linked targets in Beirut over the weekend. Trump reportedly told Netanyahu not to do it. He did, although unlikely to have happened without U.S. knowledge.
Yep. Yeah, it's cool, man. American orders are not even suggestions at this point. It's just background noise. America will be like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. I beg of you. And then he'll just do it anyway. It's great. It's fantastic. Once again, I asked the question that Bill Clinton asked to Benjamin Netanyahu back in the 90s. Who's the superpower here?
The Iranians were at pains to point out today.
America has direct responsibility in any action that the Zionist regime carries out in relation to the violation of regional peace and security against Iran.
Israel responded to the missile launches by carrying out airstrikes of their own on targets in central and western Iran. Overnight, the Israeli Air Force hit 9 Iranian air defense systems and a petrochemical complex. Donald Trump took to social media at just after 5:30 in the morning US. Israel and Iran must immediately stop shooting, he wrote. Then about an hour later posted, both sides are looking to do an immediate ceasefire. Final negotiations on peace are proceeding subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in its way. He went on to state for the umpteenth time that peace was almost upon us and that, quote, things should move quickly. This afternoon, the Iranians announced the end of the tit-for-tat for now, but warned of more to come if the Israelis hit Lebanon again. Missiles deliver messages as well as payloads. So what does the last 48 hours tell us about this shaky ceasefire? Iran wants the US and Israel to know that for them an attack on Beirut is tantamount to an attack on Tehran, and that any durable ceasefire must include Lebanon as well.
For years, Hezbollah was the proxy of Iran. It was built
Hezbollah
in order to protect Tehran from Israel. Now Iran protects Hezbollah from Israel's grip. If they do not protect Hezbollah, they are isolated, they are alone, and they are doomed to fail.
The last 24 hours was also about Iran showing willing to escalate quickly if there's no movement on the things that are important to them in ceasefire.
One of the funniest things that have taken place since the invention of AI, generative AI, is that Iran can make these massive placards now in no time. It's so funny that they just like pump out this AI slop and make these banners in only a few moments. No need to hire anyone. What do you think the Ayatollah is doing? Yeah, sitting around in a bunker making AI art, generative AI art.
Negotiations, like the unfreezing of Iranian assets, for example. At the weekend, Trump was asked about this.
Would you unfreeze any Iranian assets or lift any sanctions up front as a part of any deal? So that would come after.
Comes after, yeah. If
they
behave,
turned
if they
over
do a
their
good job, we
nuclear
start
enrichment.
talking, yeah.
As the interview went on, things started to deteriorate. The president eventually stormed out.
You ought to straighten out your press.
Tehran negotiators will look at episodes like this
Traveled all the way to
and interpret them as signs of weakness and petulance.
Now, while Israel says it's stopping attacks here in Iran, it will continue to fight in southern Lebanon if it is attacked by Hezbollah, and the IDF has confirmed that that will continue. Now, that is something Iran considers a breach of the ceasefire. So what precisely will happen in that event is still uncertain. 12 people were killed in Israeli strikes in Lebanon today, and since March, since the beginning of this conflict, around 3,500 people have lost their lives in Lebanon alone. Our international editor, Lindsay Hilson, reports from...
Yes, Justine. Yes, I'm a Persian real estate agent. I'm an Armenian real estate agent. I'm an Armenian real estate agent. I'm going to sell you a house in Glendale, okay? Yes. Yes. Quiet green light. As the dust has settled, it seems Trump soft greenlit the Israeli attack on Iran and then further depleted U.S. military interceptors to defend attacks on Israel. Yup. Zachary Cohen, senior national security reporter covering the Pentagon for CNN, says, update, U.S. forces did fire interceptors in response to recent Iranian missile attacks targeting Israel, per a U.S. official, though it was not immediately clear if the attempted interceptors were successful. U.S. officials are still working to assess who hit what in the aftermath, the official said. This comes a couple hours after a U.S. official denied Israel's claim that the U.S. intercepted Iranian ballistic missiles that were fired at Israel. Of course they did. Israel is the most precious country on the planet. It has to be defended, no matter what. It has to be defended when it goes around and behaves in a belligerent manner. That's just how it goes. That's it. Israel gets to do whatever the fuck it wants, and we'll foot the bill.
Beirut.
Clearing up after yesterday's strikes on Beirut.
Can't wait for that military combo wombo situation. So, Americans are drafted by force at gunpoint to go wage Israel's wars at the behest of Israel so they can take over Cairo and take over Istanbul and wherever the fuck they seek further expansion in.
The wider war. Iran says if Israel targets the Lebanese capital again, it will, as it did today, retaliate directly. The cockpit footage. The Lebanese government says that since the supposed ceasefire on April the 16th, Israel has carried out 3,491 airstrikes on Lebanon. They didn't stop in the south, hitting Tyre again today. Lebanon is in an impossible situation, with 1/5 of its territory occupied by Israel and Iran controlling Hezbollah, which attacks the Israelis daily. We drove south from Beirut, down a road recently made safe, at least for now, by the Lebanese army. To our east, Mount Hermon. We're just about 5 kilometers from the border with Israel. The Shia village of Debin has been utterly destroyed by Israeli bombs. The occupying Israeli soldiers withdrew just a few days ago. A UN bulldozer has started to clear the rubble, and the Lebanese armed forces have moved in. The cross on the horizon rises from the Christian village of Marjayoun, less than 2 kilometers away. But we weren't allowed to film much in Marjayoun for fear of bringing the wrath of Israel onto the heads of the population. Now that the Lebanese army has moved back into the villages around here, people should be feeling more secure. But everyone I've been speaking to is nervous. They don't know what the Israeli soldiers are going to do next. And even though Marjayoun here might be an enclave of peace, the Israelis are still occupying the area all around and not showing any signs of leaving. Debris from the Israeli anti-aircraft system Iron Dome has damaged the tower of St. George's Church. The priest has grown used to the sound of his...
Reminder, Hezbollah are still Lebanese people. They have a right to defend against Israel. Oh, 100%. A lot of October 7 fans in here. Your people are dumb listening to this dog-zapping commie, says Judah's priest. I hope you got at least a little bit of money for saying shit like this. Once again, it's 2026. Kind of a strange fucking line of attack here. It's no longer October 8th, 2023. Israel has done a million October 7s. Israel's currently in the process of doing October 7s every single day towards Lebanon. Please tell me you're not doing this shit for free. Please, please. If you're going to be this guy, at least get paid for it. I know that Israel actually bounces a lot of checks from what I understand. There are numerous Hasbara operatives that are currently suing the Israeli government for not paying them what they were supposed to be paid. But constantly relitigating October 7 and be like, oh, a lot of October 7 fans in here. You don't sound intelligent when you say that. You sound like a fucking dumbass who's too cowardly to say with his full chest that he loves Israel and he wants Israel to continue using America and the American military and the White House like a fucking cum sock. President Trump texted me back confirming he will still be traveling with us to Evian, France for the G7 summit. Wait, shut the fuck up. He responds to text messages. I might actually text his ass, dude. I don't know about calling his ass, but I might actually text this motherfucker at this point. Ain't no way Big Dog is responding to text messages.
Hezbollah rockets being intercepted as they fly overhead. Now, both Hezbollah and Iran are firing into Israel.
Our message in our church, the peace.
But we're hearing the sound of war all around us.
Of course. This is nothing. Last night, all the night, you will hear this is the music.
Israeli soldiers ordered the Christians of Marjayoun to expel the displaced Shias they were sheltering in case they were harboring Hezbollah, driving a wedge between the communities.
They are from our society, but there is no reason to say to my brother, go from my way, go from my town, don't be here. We have a big problem now, okay, between us.
Nabatea, just to the west of Marjayoun, attacked by Israel every day. While the world prays that the war between the US and Iran will not start up again, here they just pray to be left alone, to live together again, just to live. So you can see that Israel has no let up in attacking the south of Lebanon today, and it has no intention of doing so. But I wonder if Prime Minister Netanyahu is feeling a little concerned today, because President Trump has positioned himself almost like a mediator between Iran and Israel rather than Israel's partner. It's clear he doesn't want to go back to war. It's clear he wants a deal. And Iran may try to insist that Israel stop attacking the south of Lebanon as well as Beirut and possibly withdraw from its occupation. Lebanon, of course, feels rather powerless in amongst all this. Earlier today, I sat down with the Lebanese Justice Minister, Adel Nasser, and I asked him how the events of the last 36 hours, where they have left Lebanon.
Today we are paying the price of the disproportionate reaction of Israel and the interference of Iran and the use by Iran of Lebanon as a military base for itself. We are facing all of them. We are a small country and we are facing major powers. Because both of them have military means that Lebanon doesn't have.
What do you want the Americans to do?
The Americans today are helping or supporting the negotiations of Washington, the direct negotiations that are being conducted. And we expect, that the issue of Lebanon remains completely independent from the negotiations that are being conducted between the United States and Iran, because we consider that we shouldn't be a card between the hands of Iran. This is on one hand. On the other hand, to support Lebanon, to bring Israel to another attitude regarding the situation in Lebanon.
But it seems that the government, your government, has no power, no influence.
I mean, cooked, but also true. It's flagrant how powerless the Lebanese government is, how cucked the Lebanese government is. It's basically a puppet state, okay? And it's been that for a minute, but look, a lot of people are like, oh, what is the Lebanese government's attitude on this? Where's the Lebanese military? Let me tell you. The Lebanese government would literally give up every Shia territory in southern Lebanon to Israel so it can turn southern Lebanon, violate its sovereignty, and turn southern Lebanon into another West Bank-style occupation, as long as they also, in the process, destroyed Hezbollah militarily. Okay? The Lebanese government is lost. It's not a real government at all. How can you be a real government if you collaborate with a foreign invading military and actively try to collaborate with a foreign invading military against your standing militia within Hezbollah? If you recall, in the early days of Operation Epic Fury, when Israel started invading southern Lebanon militarily, the Lebanese government tried to get the Lebanese forces to not attack Israel, but to attack Hezbollah. Okay? And of course, the Lebanese military was like, no, what are you, fucking insane? We're not going to aid and abet a foreign invading force against our own brothers. They still tried it, though. They still tried it. There's varying degrees of dignity and face saving here, but the Lebanese government has none of that.
Even in your own country.
No, Lebanon is committed, and the government is committed to obtain or to secure the monopoly of force. It is very important to continue the process of dismantling Hezbollah's military infrastructure, but not to make a confusion with the Shia.
Like, do you see this? Do you see this? Like, he's literally talking about dismantling the Hezbollah military infrastructure. Buddy, your country is currently being invaded. Hezbollah are Lebanese. They are Lebanese people. Your country is being invaded by a foreign occupying power. The fuck do you mean? Oh, we're working tirelessly to dismantle the only resistance force that's currently keeping the foreign invading force at bay. Yes, Hezbollah are the only ones seemingly interested in defending the sovereignty of Lebanon. It's true. What is this? This is a great analysis on who this government is beholden to. Disgraceful and embarrassing, says Laura Bitar. It is Iran and Iran alone that stopped the attacks on Dahia and Beirut and is insisting on incorporating Lebanon into his negotiations with the U.S. But this stooge is ordered to view Iran as the enemy rather than the settler colony erasing dozens of southern villages from existence and slaughtering entire families together. Yeah, here is the Lebanese president, Joseph Aoun, telling CNN's Christian Amanpour his message to the IRGC and Iran.
It's not your country, it's our country. It's our obligation. It's not your job to interfere into our country.
Like, the Lebanese president is literally going on American TV after conducting a negotiation, a fake negotiation with the United States of America and Israel, the invading military force, where they have openly admitted to wanting to stand down. And when asked, he says his main opposition is Hezbollah and the IRGC and Iran, not the country that's invading and violating his borders, violating his sovereignty, killing his countrymen. 4,000 Lebanese people have been slaughtered by Israel at this point. Hundreds of buildings have been destroyed. Hundreds of villages have been erased off the map. And this fucking dipshit is like, oh, dude, that's one thing. But you know what the real problem is? The fact that Hezbollah exists within our borders. That's why I said, like, yesterday, I said Iran, due to the deterrence factor of Hezbollah against Israel, given Hezbollah's proximity to Israel, Iran has more investment in maintaining Lebanese sovereignty than the fucking Lebanese government itself.
Reject the statement totally, because our people being killed, our houses being destroyed. They are using Lebanon as a bargaining chip in their negotiation with the United States. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. They're using Lebanon as a bargaining chip. Yeah, that is fucking crazy. That is fucking crazy. What is the bargain for Iran here? The bargaining chip for Iran is Lebanese sovereignty, is forcing Israel to retreat from not fucking Syria, not from Egypt, from Lebanon. Iran isn't saying like, oh, you have to retreat your forces from Jordan. Iran is saying you have to retreat from Lebanon, your country.
And here also, Hezbollah must understand that. Hezbollah must understand that no other way but to sit and talk. No other way to solve this problem and to save what's left except through negotiation and diplomacy. It's not your country, it's our country. It's our obligation. It's not your job to interfere into.
I need to stress, Owen has not expressed any sympathy, any empathy to the people outside this interview, and he doesn't give interviews to Lebanese journalists. He's pandering to liberals abroad. Fond memory I have from South Beirut is telling people that I was Iranian, and the one Farsi phrase that most seem to know was Khosh Amadid, translated more literally to "It is great that you've come." Video from Tonight in Lebanon, unrelated. I mean, this is literally Vichy France, by the way. This is straight up Vichy France. Based on Mr. Owen's comments, one would think that Iran has occupied 1/5 of Lebanon, displaced 1/4 of Lebanese, and bombing his country on a daily basis. Had Lebanon been the bargaining chip for Iran, we'd have a deal long ago. Save Lebanon from your real foe, Mr. President. He's right. Sayed Abbas Araghchi, the Iranian foreign minister, is right. What's crazy is, like, these guys don't even feel shame in their hearts to say such things.
So what do you say to the villagers in the south who say Hezbollah is the resistance, Hezbollah at least is fighting Israel, and the National Army is doing nothing?
It is clear that Hezbollah is not in a position to defend the south, so talking about defending the south through Hezbollah is a myth. It is not true, and it proved that it is not true through over this long period of time.
Lebanon's Justice Minister speaking to Lindsay earlier in Beirut. Well,
oh shit, Zay Squirrel back in the building.
Joining me
Mohammed
now
Marandi.
is Mohammed Marandi, professor at Tehran University and a former advisor.
Again, so weird seeing him standing up and not inside of his house. This guy loves Marandi so much, he went to see him in person, bro. That's crazy.
To the nuclear negotiating team of Iran. I mean, this one-day war was really about what happened in Lebanon, but Lebanon's president has just sent a message to Iran saying there is a huge difference between helping us and interfering. You are destroying the country for the sake of your own interest.
The Lebanese president was installed by the Americans and the Saudis. Everyone knows that. Go and look at the election numbers in the last parliamentary elections. The coalition of Hezbollah got 3 times more than the votes that they got.
But he's the president of Lebanon, and Iran is using Lebanon now as a sort of a tool or a
Iran
chip
is
or
using Lebanon. Iran has made sacrifices for Lebanon. We risked war for Lebanon. They fired missiles at our city today, this morning. You were here. We did that for the Lebanese people.
So where does that leave Iran in terms of its position? I mean, has Beirut become the red line that you think if Beirut is attacked, Iran will attack Israel?
Look, let me first say something very clear to you. The Americans overthrew the Syrian government, installed Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is helping the...
Not quite.
Wait, just one moment.
Let's not go down that road.
Yeah, no. I'm just telling you what's going on in Lebanon. So to the east, they've blocked the route for Hezbollah to get support. The president of Lebanon that you're speaking of and the prime minister, they're preventing the Lebanese refugees from going to different neighborhoods in the country, different parts of the country. In other words, they're not allowed to move inside their own country. Why? Because they despise them and because they're with the Americans. And then the Israelis are pounding them from the south. So the Iranians see that the Lebanese government is conspiring with foreign powers. The people of Lebanon, the people in the south are surrounded. So the Iranians did the humanitarian and just and courageous thing by threatening the Israeli regime, because the Israeli regime said they want to flatten Beirut.
I see the argument, but I mean, at the end of this 24 hours, where are we in terms of, Iran's red lines? Has it established now that Israel cannot attack anywhere outside the south, but that it will tolerate that war in the south going on as it has today? When Iran said it would stop attacking.
Well, the Iranians have made they've said something in the military today have said something about the south, so they've left that vague. So in future, the Israeli regime, if they carry out atrocities in the south, I think that the Iranians are going to strike them again. But if they do touch Beirut, have no doubt that the Iranians will pound the Israeli regime. At the end of the day, the Iranians have said, and this is something that...
This is Channel 4 chatter that keeps asking, what network is this?
The Iranians and the Americans negotiated, at least through messages, and they almost got there, but Trump keeps backing off. A ceasefire in Lebanon, the normalization of travel through the Strait of Hormuz, the return of Iranian stolen assets, and the removal of the siege on Iranian ports. It's a starvation siege. They're preventing food from getting in, they're preventing medicine from getting in, they're preventing supplies from getting in.
So do you think Trump is the obstacle to a deal? That he just needs to say yes, and he's not saying yes?
Joe Kent, when he resigned from counter-terrorism, and he was appointed by Trump, he said that this war is not because of Iran's nuclear program. Iran is not building a nuclear weapon. He said Iran is not a threat to the United States. He said, and this was at the beginning of the war, that this is about the Israeli lobby, the Israeli regime and the Zionist lobby. The Zionists are the ones who are putting pressure on him, and they're the ones who are wrecking the global economy. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had war in the first place. And after the 39 days of war where we defeated the United States, in the ceasefire, we would have had normalization of trade, and the situation today wouldn't be what it is.
I was out today talking to just ordinary people on the street. They were so fed up at the thought that war was going to return. They really were annoyed about the economic damage it's causing. And, you know, are you sure this country has the same patience at street level that you and the people in the government have?
You mean people on the streets of Tehran actually express their opinions?
Yeah. Oh, and they told us they'd had enough.
That's not what I hear in Western media. I hear that we're gunning them down on the streets every day. No, the people in Iran, they're fed up. They always say they're fed up because they have the right to say it. And that's what Iranian society is like, and we're proud of that. But we're in a state of war, and it is tough. But the Iranians know that this is a war for the country's survival. It's a war of choice for the Americans. For us, it's a war of survival, because we know that if we back down, the Americans are not going to be fair with us. They're going to carry out further aggression.
Mohammed Marandi, thank you very much indeed. Well, where does this leave the US in these fragile peace negotiations?
The people that keep asking, no, this is not actually Zay Squirrel, man. It's a fucking joke. Calm down.
Joining me from Washington, our US editor, Anushka Astana. Anushka.
You know, it is a sign of the crazy world we live in right now that after Iran sent those missiles towards Israel, the first thing that Donald Trump seemed to do was take a call from journalists, including Axios's Barak Ravid, and told him really consequential things. You know, the idea that he would tell Netanyahu not to retaliate. So speaking to Ravid before speaking to Netanyahu, Ravid was back to tell us what he actually said to the Israeli Prime Minister once that call happened, suggesting that he said, Bibi, you better be careful because you could soon find yourself facing Iran alone. So a very tough phone call. Now, we know Israel did respond, but very quickly, Trump was telling us that they were going to stop firing, that there was going to be a ceasefire again, and clearly showing that he still has massive influence when it comes to Israel. But what I do think this underlines is that after starting this war with Israel, the two have had diverging motivations. Benjamin Netanyahu always wanted to see this through militarily. Meanwhile, Iran have more cards than they originally perhaps thought that they did. And so they're holding out when it comes to actually getting to a deal, which is why Donald Trump finds himself, as one of his former advisors put it to me last week, between a rock and a hard place.
So a lot going on, but Donald Trump isn't even at the White House.
No. We are here, but Donald Trump is not. He woke up this morning at his golf club in Bedminster. Now, to be fair, he then had executive time where I'm sure they talked about this. I'm all for flexible working, but this is a president who told us he had to miss his own son's wedding because he needed to be in Washington, D.C. over a weekend because of what was happening in the Middle East. Today, he's missing being in D.C. because he's going to a Knicks basketball game in New York, an important game, I will say that. And also behind me, he has erected a UFC stadium for a sporting event this Sunday. Someone said to me he likes to use sports to try to boost his popularity in the face of an unpopular war. Well, a big moment coming this week, the most ultimate sporting event of all, the World Cup, and that is why Donald Trump does not want this ceasefire to break again.
Anushka Astana in Washington. Well, joining me now from Massachusetts is Ambassador Wendy Sherman, who was Deputy U.S. Secretary of State under President Biden and lead negotiator for the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. Thank you for joining us. I mean, Donald Trump said while missiles were flying between Iran and Israel that he calls the shots. Is that what it looked like to you?
Well, I think that's somewhat questionable. I do wish the president, quite frankly, would stop trying to negotiate in public and have some private conversations. As you know, and I'm sure the reporters love it, anybody can pick up the phone and call him, and he often answers and then tries to send messages publicly. Clearly, he and the Prime Minister of Israel came to an agreement where the Prime Minister did take some retaliatory action against Iran, but at the same time has stood down, as the president hoped he would, in hopes that, in fact, the president's efforts at negotiations can move forward. I think the hard part here is that the president is, as Anushka said, between a rock and a hard place. There is a way for him to get out of this mess, to put the energy markets back where they belong, to actually get to a nuclear negotiation. But so far, he's not willing to pay the price.
TV turned on. The TV was on the whole time.
To do that.
I mean, the only thing he has said, really, about the nuclear negotiations in his interviews at the weekend was that Iran had agreed that it wouldn't have a nuclear weapon. Well, that's what it always said. So, I mean, it hasn't agreed to anything new, has it?
Not that I'm aware of. The president has said from time to time that Iran has agreed to either dilute its highly enriched uranium or ship it out of the country. But of course, all of that requires verification and monitoring.
Finally, after hours of rumored drone attacks in Eilat without alerts, sirens are now being triggered due to the infiltration of Yemeni drones. Hezbollah drones also crossing the Shomera towards the headquarters of the 300th Brigade at the same time. Yeah.
So you know it exactly has happened the way
What?
they say it's going to happen. And so far, we're nowhere there.
What? What's the alert? That the GOP account got suspended? Thank you for informing me about this, chatter. Breaking news on the Hasanabi broadcast. Whenever I see an account get suspended on Twitter, I'm like, what the fuck could they have possibly done? What could they have possibly done to get suspended on Twitter? Especially a right-wing account. Because, like, left-wing accounts get suspended for saying cisgender or being too woke. But a right-wing account?
The International Atomic Energy Agency Board of Governors meets this week, and it will be very interesting to see the discussion there. Next week, President Trump will be going to the G7 in France. The first time I think he has attended since 2019, and there will be a discussion about several things, but one will be how to demine the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, first he has to get to an agreement that the strait can be opened again, something that only closed after the United States under President Trump went to war.
And indeed, and Iran insists that it must have control, and by control, people imagine that also means a fee or toll of some kind. I mean, if they were in a miraculous world able to swallow politics and pride and all of that and say, Ambassador, you did this last time, can you come in and help and take over? What would you do?
I can't imagine that happening, so it's a very easy answer. I think the president considers all of us who were engaged in that negotiation as having been stupid, as he tends to call people these days. You know, I think the problem here is that to really do a nuclear negotiation with Iran takes a team, a large team.
Oh, yeah, I saw this already. A French photographer captured a photo of Victor Wembanyama going through a security checkpoint as Secret Service prep for Trump's arrival tonight. I'm sorry, but inside of Madison Square Garden, Victor Wembanyama is a far more important figure than the motherfucking president of the United States. Okay? This is preposterous. Like, straight up. Brunson, Wembanyama, every starter in both teams, and maybe even the bench too, are far more important than the stupid fucking president. They should be checking the president to make sure that the motherfucking president is not going to harm these athletes, these superstars. Ridiculous nonsense. I hope he had a great day at the park, though. But I'm sorry, this is disastrous. You got to put some socks on, my boy. I mean, what are we doing here? With the ankle socks, especially with your leg length. Put some socks on, you know? You never know, with the length of his arms, he could hide a sniper rifle. Ever since that photo, the outfit worn for aid, that's it. He's flagged. Maybe he's hiding a saber up his sleeve. Who knows?
Not only did we have the core team that I was honored to lead on a daily basis, but literally hundreds of people in the U.S. government, of course, Secretaries Clinton and then Kerry and Secretary Moniz of the Energy Department and President Obama, who knew every single detail of the deal. Abbas Araghchi, who's the current foreign minister, was my counterpart during those negotiations. We did this as a multilateral agreement with other countries in Europe, with Russia and China. And of course, all of those relationships are quite changed now. So there is a big task ahead here. I'm glad to see that Witkoff and Kushner, the president's envoys, went out to our nuclear lab to really learn some things and meet with a team of experts. They will be absolutely essential if Witkoff and Kushner can ever really get to a direct negotiation with Iran.
Ambassador Wendy Sherman, thank you very much indeed. Tehran woke up to what it suspected was coming, a return to war. And when it did in the middle of the night, the city itself was spared, but people could hear the Israeli airstrikes in the western suburbs. By late morning, there were explosions reported in the east and west of Tehran itself. But in the old city, you wouldn't have known it. The streets were packed and the shops open. But opinion on the street is complex. A lot of people are sick of this. When Iran fired at Israel, how did you feel?
Very angry because we people not want to war, and I feel so bad, and I'm so sorry for this.
Mostly everyone hates war. I'm stressed too. Our lives get thrown off track. Nobody likes war. It gives everyone a bad feeling. But this war is being imposed on us.
We don't really have a particular feeling anymore. War has become normal for us. It makes no difference. Whether there's war or not, we carry on with our lives. We're not afraid of war. We've gotten used to it.
Here in the old city of Tehran, I have the Grand Bazaar on one side of me and the Ministry of Justice on the other. And one of these huge buildings that we can't film because it's an official building was bombed a few weeks ago and is completely destroyed. But this place is crowded, despite the fact that there have been airstrikes within a few miles of this place in the last couple of hours. People determined, it seems, to just get on with life. The slushy cellar looked like business was booming, but they'd only just reopened after the bombing across the street. How do you feel about the war starting again today?
The market's closed when the war starts. Today, nothing has happened yet, thank God, and the market's busy. But I think from tomorrow, it'll go quiet.
Within hours, both sides had said they would stop, unless Israel attacks Lebanon or Hezbollah attacks Israel.
Yeah, the sirens in Israel are drones, Hezbollah and Yemen drones. King Abdullah II, as usual, doing his job, turning Jordan into an air defense system for Israel and a launch pad for attacks against Iran. Arab countries have spent the last several years engaging in armed defense of Israel from Iranian attacks while issuing lip service statements about Gaza for public consumption, have been effectively building the future of their own enslavement in an Israeli-dominated region supported by the U.S. government. The smarter thing to do would have been to find a way to be neutral and play the two sides against each other while building independent leverage. King Abdullah's ancestors did the same thing to Turkey through their collaboration with the British, which created the current problem in the first place. Yep. Okay, Murtaza. Okay, Murtaza with the pro-Ottoman take. Respect.
But few here in Tehran have much...
No, guys, that was King Kakdullah, okay? The British helicopter pilot.
...confidence that any day is the last day of war they will see.
Day 101 of the war seemed to begin in a rather dangerous state after day 100 because overnight a series of things had happened. Hezbollah had launched a series of rockets into...
Call him Murtaza Effendi. All right, Murtaza Bey. Respect.
Northern Israel, they don't seem to have done any damage, certainly no casualties. But in response, the Israelis went to Beirut. They'd always said that they might. The Americans had said, don't go to Beirut, but they did. They went to the
Actual players in the NBA Finals are being told, the less you bring, the better for tonight's Game 3. A credentialed reporter here says Secret Service even took the lid off of his chapstick while going through security.
More security.
The Knicks, but it's just New York City. Yeah, I mean, it's New York, so regardless of who's here, like, it's gonna be loud, it's gonna be, rowdy. I think the president being here just makes it inconvenient on everybody else. Like, we got obviously more security. We got like send stuff early. I think our buses are a little earlier, so that's that. Other than that, when you come here and you play against this team, regardless of if they're good or when they're not, it's gonna be a building that comes ready to support the team.
So the Secret Service took the.
I hope Wendy drops 40 tonight. Look, I'm not. Like, go Knicks, but I'm rooting against Trump.
Off my chapstick. Are you guys having to go through the same thing?
We're like the less stuff you can bring, the better. Obviously, we're getting screened like it's TSA. It's little inconvenient for the people that's got to play, but it is what it is.
The Knicks, but it's just New York City.
Yeah, it's New York.
Patrick Bet David, I know you like the number. I don't see a benefit to the president attending the Knicks game tonight. The Knicks are on a 13-game playoff win streak. If they lose, they blame it on the president. And if the Spurs come back and win it all, New Yorkers will never forgive him. Okay, it's over. Knicks in 4 now. Okay, I take it back. Now that Patrick Bet David has spoken and he looked at the number, I know you like the number. If Patrick Bet David is making this assessment, it's probably a wrap. I'll be honest. He ran the number. It's got to be Knicks in 4 now. You know what I'm saying?
Area, the southern suburb of Beirut, which is the Hezbollah stronghold, and they attacked it. And because of that, the Iranians then did what they said they would do in that case, and they attacked Israel. And they sent a number of missiles to places like Tel Nof, and particularly Nevatim. Nevatim's quite interesting because Nevatim is quite near Dimona, which is the nuclear plant, and all of Israel's nuclear stuff and its main Air Force base is at Nevatim. And the fact is, the Iranians were making a clear point here. They were sending ballistic missiles. According to American intelligence, they've still got 70% of the ballistic missile stocks and maybe 75% of all of their launchers. So the Iranians, and this is their footage, were making the point that they can still send ballistic missiles and they can get through the Iron Dome system, Israel's defense system, and hit the ground, which indeed they did. They were not launching an all-out attack. They were launching a symbolic attack which did what they wanted it to do. And as a result, the Israelis then did what they said that they were going to do, and they struck Iran. Now, they struck Iran in more places, so they went for Tabriz and Karaj and Tehran and Isfahan and Mashhad, which is in the south. And Mashhad, they said, was a petrochemical plant that produces fuel for ballistic missiles, quite likely. But again, the Israelis didn't do all of the things that they said that they might do. And we were all worrying that these sort of mutual exchange of missiles would result in a bigger regional conflagration again, because the Iranians had always said, if the Israelis attack us, we will attack American bases again in Iraq, in Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia, in Bahrain, in Qatar, in United Arab Emirates, even in Oman. And if that were the case, if they really did go after those bases, then the whole conflagration would start again, and the region as a whole will be back to war of the sort we saw up until the ceasefire of the 8th of April. But it didn't happen. This afternoon, the Iranians said that they would not attack Israel any further as long as Israel did not attack them. And about an hour later, the Israelis said, well, they will not attack Iran any further as long as Hezbollah did not attack or send any rockets from Lebanon over the border to northern Israel. So both sides have stood back. And it's possible that that will hold if Hezbollah can be deterred from firing any rockets into northern Israel. Which brings us to the situation back to, in a sense, where we were. President Trump is trying to make sure that both sides restrain their actions against each other. Netanyahu, you must not go to Beirut again. You must not attack Beirut. Galibaf, you must actually stick with the peace plan that we are developing with you or in league with you, and you must not then attack the Israelis. President Trump is trying to maintain this sense that there is progress in the talks. Whether there is or not, we don't really know. All of them are playing brinkmanship. All of them are playing for time and trying to bluff. And above all, President Trump is trying to buy time for his deal. If it's close, we're not sure, but to buy time for that deal to work. In reality, he probably doesn't have as much time as he says he's got, but today, maybe, he's bought himself a little bit more.
Okay, so before we get to the Spencer Pratt conspiracies, I want to give one last update on the Israel situation. If you recall, Ken Leakenstein was the guy who said that there was no invasion imminent. Remember when everyone was like talking about how, oh, they're going to invade Iran militarily, and Ken, with his NatSec insight and leakers from the Department of Defense, Department of War, reported that there was no likelihood that there was going to be an invasion of Iran. Now, this is a little bit of a different article coming from Ken Leakenstein. U.S. secretly deployed paratroopers to Israel. Okay. Now, this, in my opinion, is the exact opposite direction that America could potentially be heading in on the whole will we see a ceasefire in our lifetime question. When Pentagon announced that the 82nd Airborne Division was deployed in the Middle East in March, it concealed a key detail. Some of the paratroopers were headed to Israel, as revealed in an Army deployment order I obtained. A military source involved in war planning tells me the deployment was tied to the new Israeli-U.S. joint contingency plans completed since February for seizing Karg Island and carving out coastal territory inside of Iran. So while they might not have a sufficient military force that they've amassed in an effort to invade Iran militarily, right? The entire country, especially considering that I don't think there's enough active duty service members that are combat ready to invade Iran. It seems like they are at least still entertaining the option of trying to invade Karg Island. 82nd Airborne Division is the Army's premier quick reaction force trained to parachute into hostile territory. By keeping the deployment quiet, the Pentagon headed off public debate over a joint U.S.-Israeli operation inside Iran, a prospect many considered to be plausible at the time amid a fever pitch of mainstream reporting on a potential ground invasion. The secrecy also sidestepped what's euphemistically called host nation sensitivities. A joint U.S.-Israeli operation raises thorny questions about America's Gulf Arab partners, especially over logistical support, hence the 82nd, which could launch directly from Israel without any Gulf states' consent to use its territory. The Army Deployment Order, issued April 7, 2026, directs elements of the 2nd Battalion's 501st Infantry Regiment, the storied Geronimo Battalion, to deploy to Israel on temporary duty. The Israel deployment has not yet been previously reported. The Pentagon has never acknowledged it. In public, it has only said that the 82nd was bound for CENTCOM, the military's term for U.S. Central Command, the combatant command responsible for the entire Middle East. The press echoed the vague terminology, suggesting the unit was headed to existing U.S. bases in Kuwait or Qatar. Now, this could be because they can't house massive units in Kuwait or Qatar without Iran striking them. This could be because Qatar refuses to host additional U.S. troops inside of its borders, especially publicly, given the fact that they are trying to the best of their ability, normalize relations with Iran in this troublesome time. Or it could be because they're just going to use Israel as a launching pad. Asked about the number of troops deployed to Israel and their mission, the Pentagon referred my question to CENTCOM, which at the time of publication has not yet responded. And then the rest of it is basically talking about Karg Island invasion and the likelihood of it. He thinks, Ken speculates that this is likely to send a message to Tehran that an operation against Karg Island is imminent. Beyond Project Freedom, Kane says CENTCOM and the rest of the Joint Force remain ready to resume major combat operations against Iran if ordered to do so. No adversary should mistake our current restraint with a lack of resolve. So why the sensitivity about naming Israel when the U.S. has acknowledged stationing American air defenses and F-22 fighters there? First, the breadth and depth of the U.S.-Israeli military cooperation goes far beyond arms sales and deconfliction. Second, the two countries are deepening intelligence sharing aimed at making Israel a sixth eye in the so-called Five Eyes alliance of the U.S., Canada, Great Britain, Australia, and New Zealand. Third, naming Israel would expose how much the U.S. assault on Iran is in fact a joint U.S.-Israeli attack, not a Trump-Netanyahu brotherhood, but cooperation at the military-to-military working level where combined war plans are now a reality. Charlie Company of the 2nd Battalion is still in Israel, from which no dispatches have emerged in 2 months. I'm not saying a ground operation is imminent or inevitable, but if one were coming, wouldn't it be nice to know? Great reporting from Ken once again. Ken Leakenstein added. Now let's get back to conspiracy theories. Fox News. Spencer Pratt, breaking news. Spencer Pratt falls to third after latest ballot count. And of course, right-wingers predictably are saying this is a theft that has taken place.
And if you're still breathing, they're still counting votes out in California. Take you over the board, show you what we got over the weekend. There were a couple vote dumps. Not a ton, but let's start in California here in the governor's race. And we know that Javier Becerra had advanced as of last week, so he's one of two under California rules, the top two advance. Now the battle's between Hilton and Tom Steyer. Steyer's been creeping up a little bit. He's within about 300,000 votes of Steve Hilton, but here's what you have, right? You have 72% of the estimated vote in, so that's not quite a third of the vote still out there in the governor's race there. Honestly, I can't tell you when we're going to get an answer. I don't know if it's going to be in a couple of days or a week or beyond that, but that's where we stand. Hilton stays in second place as of now. If he keeps that spot, then he advances through the general election come November. This is the mayor's race in Los Angeles. Karen Bass advanced early last week. You got 83% of the vote counted already, so you can do the math, how much of a percentage is still out there. Here's the headline, and here's the news. Spencer Pratt, who held on to second place all week last week, has now dropped to third. And Nithya Raman, a progressive who used to work and support Karen Bass, has now moved into slot number 2. Pratt trails Raman now by about 3,000 votes as it stands right now on this Monday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning in California. We expect to get more votes later today, but hold on that. We'll wait till those come in. Matt Finn live in the City of Industry, east of LA. And Matt, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. Nearly a week after Election Day here, and LA County says it still has.
Yeah. Right-wingers are chirping about this because they're shocked at the concept that a city that despises Donald Trump would not vote in large enough numbers to make its mayor a shittier version of Donald Trump at a time when Donald Trump is even less popular than the last time there was an election in this city where Trump was on the fucking ballot, where Kamala Harris was plus 53 up on Donald Trump. President Trump has criticized California's election process, stating it's not possible for LA mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt to have lost his early lead, while also criticizing the length of time it takes to count the votes. Trump says not possible for Spencer Pratt to have lost the LA runoffs after the big lead he had, third world nation, rigged elections. Now they'll be working on great guy Steve Hilton. Won't have results for possibly 2 weeks, according to officials. President DJT. Yeah, it doesn't seem likely that Tom Steyer is going to make it into the runoff, if we're being real, unfortunately, because it would have been nice to block out that British dickhead too from the top of the ticket. However, yes, while this is the least surprising turn of events, some additional insight into extra unsurprising moments have been, the fucking Republicans claiming that there is some sort of election theft taking place, as they always say. Now, of course, this obviously doesn't make any sense because Karen Bass doesn't want to match up against Nithya Raman. Karen Bass wants to match up against Spencer Pratt. So if we are to assume that the California establishment machine, the Democratic Party machine, was actually cooking the books, they would not cook it in favor of Nithya Raman, a much better, someone with a much better shot at unseating the incumbent Karen Bass. Here is one example of this for Tom Steyer versus Javier Becerra. Former endorser of Eric Swalwell, Ted Lieu, who fucking sucks. Ted Lieu openly says, I endorse Javier Baccaria, Xavier Baccaria. That's why I hope Republican Steve Hilton remains in the top 2. The latest vote updates show Hilton will likely beat Steyer. Once again, ridiculous thing to admit, you fucking idiot. Do you not understand that there are down ballot consequences in your state for your party if more Republicans come out and vote in the general? He does understand it, but that's how desperate he is for an easy establishment win. What's shocking to me is that he's saying the fucking quiet part out loud. But once again, this is exactly what I was referencing when I said these guys don't want a real race. They don't want any real contest. They just want the establishment pro-Israel stooge, pro-corporate stooge to win. And now Javier Baccaria is probably going to skirt onto an easy victory over Steve Hilton in a state that is overwhelmingly blue. I know, right? I just call it math, he says. Asshole. Speaking of which, campaign of LA Mayor Karen Bass is now directing its attacks against Nithya Raman as her presumed opponent in the general election. Obviously, if Karen Bass was matching up against Spencer Pratt, she would highlight how woke she is in comparison to Spencer Pratt being not so woke. But now that she is being outflanked by a further to the left opponent, she very quickly has pivoted to the right in an effort to draw a distinction between herself and Nithya Raman. Her campaign spokesperson, Alex Stack, just issued this statement. We look forward to winning a contest against an opponent who allows encampments near schools and fights against hiring more cops, yet is MIA on saving Hollywood jobs and fighting back when ICE invades LA. Shameless.
No sense. This is the
Let's take a look
dumbest
at
conspiracy theory.
Javier. Harry Emden and his take on the dumb election conspiracies being advanced by the Republican side.
Dumbest conspiracy theory I have ever heard, because the Democratic establishment and Karen Bass wanted Spencer Pratt and the...
Dog, you know what this would be like? If we were complaining that Amy McGrath lost in Kentucky to Mitch McConnell. How could this have happened? Clearly, there's electoral theft taking place here. Obviously, they shoved the ballots. They packed the mules. You know? You cosplaying as Mamdani or what? Yes. Yes. Zoran Kwame Mamdani, the only man who's ever worn a suit in his entire in the history of American politics. Yes, I'm cosplaying Zoran Mamdani. I'm cosplaying Nick Fuentes. The only two guys who have ever worn suits ever.
They don't want any part to do with Nithya Raman. Why is that? Because just take a look here. Okay, Mayor runoff polls, Bass versus opponent versus Pratt. Bass would have crushed Pratt by 18 points. That's what the polling showed. Look at how she does against Nithya Raman, on the other hand. Raman is ahead by 4 points. Bass has a real race on her hand if, in fact, Raman is the one who advances. And, of course, the Democratic establishment is backing Karen Bass. But versus Spencer Pratt, she was crushing him. She wanted to face Pratt. She wanted nothing.
By the way, this is consistent with the polls, especially because Nithya Raman was gaining. So the idea that it's like totally unexpected is absolutely silly. Anyway, let's continue.
To do with Raman. That's why these conspiracy theories, simply put, make no sense, people.
When we talk about favorability, you have more evidence here.
Yeah, this is more evidence. You know, why is it that Nithya Raman's doing so much better than Spencer Pratt would against Karen Bass? It's simply put, Raman is actually decently liked by LA City voters. Look at this. Okay, Nithya Raman, +5 on the net favorability rating. Karen Bass, way underwater at -22 points. You basically just need someone who's half decently well-liked to be favored, or at least have a real shot against the incumbent Karen Bass. Spencer Pratt, on the other hand...
You don't understand. As a voter from Ohio, I've never heard of Councilwoman Nithya Raman, and therefore it must mean that she stole the election. Okay? Clearly. Because my timeline showed over and over again Spencer Pratt making cool-ass AI videos. And clearly, whatever I see on my Twitter For You page is reality, is the only reality that I acknowledge. So, obviously, there's some fuckery taking place here. Or, here's Ken Benzinger, the New York Times reporter who was reporting on my DNC trip when I got kicked out, if you recall, saying, this is extremely simple. More than 60% of registered voters in Los Angeles are Democrats. Less than 15% are Republicans. Stop being shocked that LA voters prefer Democrats and stop spreading conspiracy theories that explain simple electoral math. Matt Van Swole, another one of these fucking right-wing dickheads, said, that explains why Democrats do well in LA. It does not explain why a candidate in third place would suddenly outperform the first-place candidate in later counted ballots. Those two are totally different questions. Nobody's shocked that LA is blue. People are asking why the vote pattern changed so dramatically after election night, why Raman's late ballot share looks so different. There's an answer for that, too. The further left and younger the voters are, the more likely they are to vote by mail. Bass's voters are center left and older. Raman's are left to far left and younger. As we all should know by now, in California, the in-person votes get counted first. So Bass did by far the best among in-person votes and took an early lead. But the mail-in ballots, which critically aren't counted until in-person are done, heavily favored Rahman. That is what explains the late surge by Rahman, not some far-flung conspiracy. And then when you explain this simple concept, yes, by the way, younger voters are late voters. Younger voters are voters that vote by mail, myself included, by the way. I also am, I guess, technically not really young, but I did vote by mail. And I voted on election day. I dropped off my mail-in ballot on election day. Okay? And guess what? Plenty of other people did the same. And you know what else young voters do? Younger voters do? They vote with DSA LA and Knock LA voter guides. And the DSA LA voter guide, which is widely dispersed, widely distributed, widely shared, widely utilized, all had Nithya Raman as the suggestion. So it makes total fucking sense that whoever is even, whoever cared enough to go out and vote, especially younger voters, would go out and vote for Nithya Raman. That's why she's gaining. You're reading a post written by ChatGPT? What? I'm not reading a post. I'm just saying to you what I think from my mind. Hello? There's nothing in front of me. I'm too fucking tired for this shit, dude. Ay, ay, ay. Are you within the WeHo boundaries, though? No. Anyway.
Look at that. He's even less like than Karen Bass. He's 32 points underwater. Karen Bass doesn't want to face Nithya Raman. She would love to face Spencer Pratt because, simply put, she's managed to find someone who's more unpopular than she is, and she's quite unpopular.
This is really interesting. You look at these numbers, one of these things is not like the other
No.
here. She is definitely more like than the other two. Now, the president here, obviously the president is looking at this race. He's all kinds of upset about it. He presumably wanted Pratt here.
Yes, Republican wants a Republican. News at 11.
Angelinos, what do they think about the president?
Yeah, okay, this is the other thing. The president of the United States is such a drain on Spencer Pratt. I mean, hello, okay, Los Angeles City voters. Trump's net approval rating in the city of Los Angeles is about 55 points underwater. I mean, the idea that a Republican could be the mayor of New York when the president of the United States has a net approval rating 50, it's so difficult. 55 points underwater, and then registered as Republican. Just 15% of the voters in the city of Los Angeles are registered as Republican. 55% are Democrats. Spencer Pratt was facing a mountain in order to win, and so Karen Bass and the Democratic establishment knew that there's basically no chance a Republican could be the next mayor of New York. The only way she could lose is if she goes up against another Democrat. And you see it right here, very simply put, up by 4, no wonder. And that is where the results right now are moving. A Raman versus Bass general election, which I said at the top, an absolute nightmare for the Democratic establishment and Karen Bass. They would have much preferred Spencer Pratt.
A lot of discomfort, no doubt, this morning
Yes.
in and around the establishment in Los Angeles. Harry, and thank you for explaining that so well.
Thank you, my friend.
You're an outstanding.
Let's hear from the most brilliant and most astute observer of elections, Asmongold.
Blown the fuck out. Blown out. See ya, bitch. Thank God. Yes, remember he had that bitch on his stream? Yes, what you get. Maybe you shouldn't have been trying to... You know, Hassan really should be blaming himself for this. You had this woman on to be part of the LA mayor. That's what you get. It's his fault. He did this. That's why he's trying to stay off the screen, because he knows that he doesn't want to take credit. He's embarrassed. And so she's been going up. Look at how many votes she's been getting here with all mail-in ballots. They're rigging it. They're rigging it. And also, like, we're at the point now where I don't think that anybody should be afraid to say that. And I think that really we need to have more oversight, because these are the same people that said that the Minnesota daycares were legitimate. Blown the fuck.
It's even crazier when he's wearing like a noticeably colorful t-shirt that he just simply does not fucking change his shirt at all. It's nasty as fuck that he's been wearing the same exact ugly ass color t-shirt for the past 4 days. But yeah, He went from Asmongold now claims the LA mayoral election was rigged after prematurely celebrating and blaming Hassan Piker for Nithya Raman's loss before the votes were all counted. They're rigging it. We're all at that point. We should be saying it. I said more brilliant analysis from this fucking moron. The fact that I know for a fact that you are projecting this man on every random person on the internet that might criticize you makes my fucking skin crawl. What? You got preemptively mad because you assume that everyone that criticized me is Asmongold? This random person? He's the fucking leader of the Roach movement, dude. Oh yeah, Edinger Mentum. HVAC business owner is such a pull, lol. He appreciated my common HVAC business owner meta. How is it that these basic brain cell tests keep popping up more than ever? Like, I genuinely did not think people would be this stupid and still breathe and sleep. Yes. The centrists were blaming you as well. Yeah, exactly. While the votes were still being counted last week, centrist influencers and right-wing outlets all prematurely celebrated and blame Hassan Piker for Nithya Raman's loss. By their logic, they should all give 100% credit to her win now. All of Hassan's candidates lost. My face when all my candidates lost. Hassan Piker's reaction when Nithya Raman was projected. These guys are supposed to be centrist. They're supposed to be vote blue no matter who guys. And they're celebrating Spencer fucking Pratt. What they prematurely were celebrating was Spencer Pratt, Timu motherfucking Trump, potentially making it to the runoffs. Push trimmer Hassan Piker loses big in primaries. Asmongold blames Hassan for Nithya Raman losing the LA mayoral race. The people that these people get every single political issue wrong every single time, and their audience never learns from it. Yes, this Nathan motherfucker too. Oh yeah, I know. He's likely the reason this happened. Lemon Fayal. Yeah. I love how the ideology of centrism has evolved from I'm a fucking idiot to I'm a fucking idiot who hates Hassan. I mean, you just said I'm a fucking idiot twice. No, I know that you imagine us all as random. What are you saying, 25-month subscriber? I can't even fucking show a dumbass reactionary far-right critic of mine being a dumbass without you assuming that I'm actually suggesting you're just like him. As a 25-month subscriber, nonetheless. What's wrong with you? Fucking calm down, dude.
355,000 mail-in ballots to process. They will be counted in this massive facility behind me. Now, yesterday's ballot dump pushed Councilwoman Nithya Raman past Spencer Pratt by about 3,000 votes into that critical second place spot. If Raman holds on to her lead, she'll advance to the runoff election against Mayor Karen Bass in the fall. Now, before the ballot dump yesterday, Spencer Pratt posted in part, writing, "We've got all the way till July 6th to keep counting. They're not the only ones who know where to find votes." Now, moments after the new numbers came in, Mayor Karen Bass's campaign released a statement attacking Raman and labeling Raman her general election opponent, seemingly ruling out a Pratt comeback. A Bass spokesperson writing, "We look forward to winning a contest against an opponent who allows encampments near schools and fights against hiring more cops, yet is MIA on saving Hollywood jobs and fighting back when ICE invades LA." Now, on Friday, we interacted with an assistant U.S. attorney inside the ballot counting facility here. The DOJ says he was observing, and the first assistant U.S. attorney in LA, Bill Asaley, says California has refused to give the federal government its voter rolls and allows first-time voters to use IDs like gym and debit cards. Asaley also writes, California allows third parties to collect and turn in ballots on voters' behalf, a practice known as ballot harvesting with few restrictions. This makes it difficult to track who actually received, completed, and submitted each ballot. Now, Asaley says there are ongoing voter fraud investigations here in Southern California. He points to a recent woman who was arrested for allegedly paying people on Skid Row to register to vote. Bill, Dana.
Matt Finn, thank you. Nice to see you, Southern California. More to come. Thank you, Matt. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox 1.
When Trump walked out, this kind of leads me into the next.
Oh, my God. Oh, the numbers guy. I know you like the number. I'm a numbers guy. I ChatGPT'd it, I grokked it, and I found out that Spencer Pratt is the president of California. He actually won the presidency in California But obviously, as a numbers guy, we went to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told me Spencer Pratt had the election stolen from him.
Story with Spencer Pratt. So you guys know we talked about it like a week ago, and everybody was expecting him to advance with Karen Bass, and he was going out there celebrating the picture with him and his wife. He had an 8-point lead, and everyone's looking at this chart. If you look at this, Rob, if you want to zoom.
Everybody I know, and we all live in Florida, and we are all Trump supporters and Trump voters. We all know Spencer Pratt was winning.
Zoom in a little bit. So the blue is Karen Bass, the orange is Spencer Pratt, and the green is Raman. Now watch what's going on here. June 2nd is election. Look at the difference in lead on where Spencer Pratt is. Look at the third and fourth. And then look at the spike. Look at the spike. So you mean to tell me out of all those thousands of votes, now all of a sudden they only want to do Raman?
That's insane.
That's what they want to do? That's what you mean to, you want me to believe that? And it goes from 71,000 to 153,000. Look how Bass only goes up 30,000, but she goes up 83,000 votes, 82,500 votes. And during that time, only Pratt goes up 44,000 votes. And then they're catching up. And Rob, if you go to the new chart that shows Raman ahead, you will see this. So this is what it's looking like now. Malin's arriving before election. Bass 38, Pratt 28, Raman 20. Pratt's got a 28-point lead. Malin's arriving after election. Raman 37%, plus 17. Bass goes down 3. Pratt goes down 9. You want people to believe this. Then there's another one, the vote 83% counter translates. Not this one, Rob. The other one where the judge is talking about how they allow people to vote in L.A., and I even send it to you guys. I think you have it, Rob. If you go through the notes, you definitely have. This is the one. Watch this. So first go to the bottom for him to show the picture, because I think this is reacting to a picture. If you want to make this a little bit bigger. So he sends this in, talking about what's really going on, sends it to Honorable Shirley Ann Weber, Legal Office of Secretary of State, State of California. And he goes back and go to the tweet, Rob. Let's go back to the tweet if you can, please. Okay, go all the way to the top. California is blocking. I spoke to Spencer Pratt last night. I said, why are they not investigating this? Well, California is blocking a federal audit of its voter polls. California allows first-time voters. Folks, you ready for this? This is not a joke. To register using forms of ID that most Americans would find surprising, including gym membership card. I joked about this on Friday, and I said, I'm just joking. Well, guess what? I was fact-checked, and I wasn't joking. Apparently, that was true. In California, you can actually vote with your Bally Total Fitness card. Can you imagine? You can go with your LA Fitness card and vote. Employer ID, credit card or debit card, prescription drug.
If Patrick Bet-David ever invited me on his broadcast, I wear my best possible suit, like no memes. I pull out a suit that nobody's ever seen before. I know you like the number. He would say, I'm a numbers guy. I ran the number, and you got the best suit on today. I'm going to give you the keys to the castle. You can have my Turkish slave. He's my Muslim employee. I got a couple gay ones too. I'm going to give you all of them because you wear the suit the best. I also have a bunch of moccasins here as well, and we made them in Tuscany. And as you can see in the sole, it says, the future looks bright. And here's a couple hats. We grokked it, and Grok told me, I know you really like the number. I know future looks bright. Put it mirrored in under the brim. So every time you look up when you're wearing the hat and it's sunny out, you can see future looks bright, and you remember I'm also a numbers guy.
Label insurance card. And if you think this is BS, Rob, go on the link, because I thought he's just BSing. Go on the link. So this is what website, Rob? Can we verify what website?
Do people not know that you can bring those things to the fucking DMV and get a driver's license called proof of address, you fucking dumbass? I feel like half this shit relies on people too dumb to remember anything about their lives. Yes. The funniest is there are numerous states where you can do all of this to vote. Okay? And even though they live in states where you can do all of this to go out and vote, they still complain when it's happening in California. That's my favorite. Whenever like the best example of this is Donald Trump, who is a notorious mail-in ballot voter from the state of Florida, where you can do that, and will complain about others doing it all the time. Donald Trump has always voted by mail in the state of Florida. You guys understand that, right? He's registered to vote in the state of Florida, and he always votes by mail in the state of Florida. And then he always complains about voting by mail in other states. The state of Florida also happens to be the same state that Patrick Bet-David is in. Just so you understand.
This is sos.california.gov, okay? So go on that first point that says current and valid photo ID, third party. Look at right there. Go a little bit lower, Rob. Look at A, driver's license. B, passport, identification card, credit card, military identification card, health club identification card. H.
Stop it.
This is on their website, by the way. And I'm sitting there yesterday, I'm like, there's no way this has to be real. So if you go, Rob, right now and ask chat or ask ChatGPT,
I know you like number. I know you like the number. Ask ChatGPT. Oh my God, my goat. He done did it again. He did it again, bro. He's so goated. He's so sick.
Top 5 slowest states when it comes down to elections, and go to the top 5 fastest states when it comes down to counting ballots. Basic question, okay? And I'm asked this question on Grok, on chat, on pretty much everything I can, because I want to know, chat can lean a little bit on the other side.
Of course.
So watch this, okay? Fastest states, Florida. How the hell does Florida do it fast? The gold standard, okay? Texas. By the way, watch this. This is the other question I ask. Florida, red state. Texas, red. Georgia, red. Virginia, consistently reports a large percentage of votes on election day. Carolina, red. Now go to the slowest states. Look at the slowest. Why do you think it's slow? California, known as the slowest, frequently the slowest major state, accepts ballots arriving after election day if postmarked on time, extensive signature verification and provisional ballot review. Arizona, Nevada, Alaska, Pennsylvania. Yeah, I think 4 out of 5 of these states are all left, on the left. Why do you want it to be slower? So when you see the president getting upset with Walker, you're sitting there saying, maybe the guy's got an argument. Matter of fact, let me ask you guys a question. If let's just say, Vinny.
Yeah. Left states, communist, like Arizona and Alaska and Nevada. These are all known socialist states. I ChatGPT'd it, and Chat told me these are all states where they believe in Maoism, Marxist, Leninist Maoism.
Tom, Adam, if let's just say a party, forget whatever party it is, Tom, take the Libertarian Party, take the Green Party, Vinny, take the Democratic Party, take the Republican Party, Adam. You go hire the mob, the Italian mafia, and I'm talking old school. You hire them as consultants.
None of these new guys. None of these new guys. Because everybody knows, just like the NBA is soft and the Italian mafia is soft now. But the old school ones, back in the day, you hire those guys to go out and hire mules.
And you tell them, hey, what can we do to increase the chances of winning every election we want and not...
I love this guy because, first of all, I love that the peanut gallery just has to sit there and be like, brilliant and brave take, sir, once again. But I love him because he lives life like that art, like that depiction of art that he has, that fucking work of art that he has inside of the vault, where it's like him and like MLK Jr. and Einstein and all these other people like Tupac and the Shah. Like, that's him. That is a piece of art that depicts his personality so perfectly. Where in his mind, he's like, yeah, what do? You hire Scarface. You hire the Scarface to come in and steal the votes in exchange for cocaine. You go to Godfather. I just watched it last night again. One of the best movies. Okay. Obviously, it got worse when the daughter started doing her directorial debut. You can't let the womans know about the Godfather. It's not the Godmother. It's the Godfather. I know you like the number. I ran the numbers. I'm a numbers guy. And Godfather did worse when the women got involved and they turned it into Godmother. Nobody liked to watch the sequel for this reason.
Allow the other side to win. What would you advise us to do? What do you think they would say? Okay, imagine you went to the mob, the mafia. Okay, you're asking criminals who do this for a living, what can we do to never lose elections again?
Yeah, criminals who engage in ballot harvesting for a living. That's what they do. The mob. Oh, man, this guy's so awesome. I just fucking know that there are so many people who watch it and never derive the same joy that I get out of watching my GOAT, my king, Patrick Bet David. And they sincerely listen to him. And they're like, yeah, this guy knows what's up. He knows what's up. He's speaking truth to power right now, you son of a bitch. This is so awesome.
In our state, what do you think advice they would give you?
The mob?
What would they say is the first thing you got to change? You know what's the first thing I would say? Do whatever you can to not require photo IDs. Check. We did it in California. Number 2, make it as slow as possible so we can count ballots afterwards.
Wait, what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with the theft? Isn't it worse? Because it draws suspicion? Isn't that a less efficient way of stealing the election? You fucking dingus. Counting the ballots slow on purpose is done to make us feel good, but then to also steal it later so we know they stole it. It's kind of like Tony Montana, who's my idol and my icon, one of the best guys. Real guy in Cuba, from Cuba, okay, lives in Miami now. Tony Montana, he always used to say, make your enemies know that you are there. Make your enemies know that you are cheating on them, because it's a power move. Show them that you don't have the numbers, because your enemies are numbers guys. I'm a numbers guy. Show the enemy that you don't have the numbers at first, make them feel comfortable, and then bring in the numbers.
Check. Allow mail-in ballots, and as long as possible, check. As long as you do this, don't worry about it. You'll have it under control. You're serious? Oh, yeah, you're going to have it under control. And convince Americans that getting photo IDs is racist.
Racist, brilliant. That's the
Convince them it's racist.
Got it.
Yeah. And convince them it takes very slow.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, the mob did this. The Italian mafia, and not the new one. The new Italian mafia is not as hard body as the old Italian mafia. They did this. They convinced the American people it is racist to have identification.
It's just hard.
Yeah.
Why you're racist against blacks? You're racist against, and blacks are like, no, what are you talking about? I can get an ID. No, but it's racist because these people don't like you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they don't like you.
Yeah.
That's why they're trying to do this. So then you look at charts. 69% of Democrats, you know what they want? 69% of Democrats want photo IDs for election. You know what the numbers for Republicans? 95, 96%. 83% of Americans want a flippin' ID to vote. And then you want the American people to sit there and believe that if you accept a gym membership, no one's cheating. No wonder the president got upset at Welker. Now, should he have called her stupid or whatever? That's Trump style. He's always been like that. That's a conversation that you can have. But no wonder he can sit there and watch in a state. By the way, as much as I take shots at people in California, you know I do, my Armenian, Assyrian, and Persian friends. They message me, hey, you're not being fair, you're not doing this. You know what, if you haven't worked with me long-term, face-to-face, like in a company, you don't know my style. You only know me from the podcast and the relationships that we have. You don't know how I challenge, you don't know how I drive. You haven't been with me behind closed doors. Some people have witnessed how I do and what I do there. You don't think I want to see California flip?
You just know me as the numbers guy, but sometimes they call me the enforcer guy. Okay? You don't think I would do anything in my power to make sure California flips? I'm a numbers guy. I want to flip the number. I know you like the number. I want to flip it. That's my style. We come in, we go out, we flip the number.
You don't think I want to see a mayor flip? You know how bad I feel for my friends in LA right now? You know how bad I feel for my friends in California right now? You know how annoyed these people are? These are good people that have said, I'm not leaving. And then you do something like this. And you want something to change with this? By the way, do you remember that one interview where Newsom's like, oh, we're not worried about the elections? And he had that smile? This was like 3 weeks ago.
I've still got the clip. You want to...
Yeah, because it's California. Yes. Because it's fucking California. It's one of the bluest states in the country. That's why. Oh my God, these guys are so stupid, dude. They're just sitting around making each other scared and mad. This has always been the reactionary method. Look at how pissed Vinny is, by the way. Vinny, I haven't seen Vinny this mad since he had to appear alongside myself. The guy responsible for 9/11. It's so funny that, like, it's one of the most basic concepts. It's literally like saying, it's the equivalent of if I got together with my, homies and we're sitting around and we're like, Alabama, socialist safe haven. Everybody knows this. I got friends in Alabama. Well, I don't, but I got friends in California that's always talking about how Alabama is communist. But once again, the goddamn Republicans have stolen the Alabama election away from the communists. That's literally what they're doing right now. Okay? What they're doing is the equivalent of me talking about how I talk to all of my fucking socialist friends in Los Angeles, and we all decided collectively that Alabama is a communist state, and yet the Republicans keep stealing the fucking elections from the commies and giving it to the Republicans. What the fuck?
See how, and Mike, that's why he's been so quiet.
No? Breaking the glass.
Oh, this is Pat.
Yeah,
look,
exactly.
this is the attitude of exactly. Go ahead.
We all have agencies. We can shape the future. There's still a lot. Look, I've said this before, so I'll repeat it. I don't anticipate this need to be the case, but there is a break the glass scenario, and there's many people that have a deep understanding of what it would look like if Democrats were locked out, and we're going to do everything to make sure that doesn't happen.
Look, you're just saying the quiet part out loud.
And Adam,
we're going to do everything possible.
And nobody could do
to make
anything.
sure.
Agencies can shape.
Do something about it.
Agencies could shape the future.
Yeah,
and I'm tired of hearing, Pat, democracy. We're not a democracy, but we have lost the republic. If this is how it happens in front of our face, we can't do nothing about it. The government can't do nothing about it. And that's the front runner. That's the front runner of the Democratic Party. And if they win, Pat,
yeah, he's talking about redistricting, dude. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about redistricting. And as far as the race goes, he's saying he's not worried about the race regardless. But once again, these guys are like, oh, they're going to steal the election from the Republicans. The Republicans are going to win.
And they come back in power. I'm not stupid. I know the pendulum swings. You let them in power. The SAVE Act didn't go through because they have 4 rhino, I'm not going to say the word, Republicans that don't.
You need an iced coffee, sleepy? Dog, I've slept for 4 fucking hours on a plane, okay? There's the only thing that can save me right now from falling asleep is crack cocaine. So unless you're Hunter Biden and you got some leftover crack from your crack cocaine days, drinking coffee is not going to salvage the situation.
They want to have power, and if I keep hearing this word democracy, it's our republic. And at what point are Americans, the citizens, the 99.999%, are going to finally say, Pat, enough is enough? And I'm not saying we're complaining. No, we're trying to point out the obvious. They're cheating. You are cheating. In India, they have how many? 1 point some billion people. They know in one day. What the hell? We're America, and it takes weeks, and we're cool with it. And nobody on the other side is saying that because their side's gonna win. They're quiet. They're quiet, and that's why Gavin Newsom's quiet, because they know that they're freaking cheaters.
Tom,
all you have to do is go, absolutely. And you know, there's two lines of thinking that are.
Dude, that is so fucked. Line to get into MSG perimeter with tickets at 33rd and 6th already stretches to 30th Street. The rumor is they aren't letting in anyone until 6:30. You need to understand something. These are people who drop like 10 bands. Okay? These are people who drop like 8 bands, 10 bands to sit at fucking nosebleed seats. And because President Trump wanted to come through. You made such a good decision to skip the game today? Yeah, no, this is part of the reason why I was like, too many things didn't work out. So I was like, I'm not going to do it. This is something my dad brought up too. They assume Newsom is scheming when he's literally just talking about organic Democratic vote consolidation tactics to combat unified Republican voters. Look at the full context. Newsom says Dems have break the glass contingency plan. They already broke the glass, by the way. When Eric Swalwell was forced to drop out, they already broke the fucking glass. And they all united the California machine behind Xavier Baccaria. I'm going to game 4, chat. Hopefully Trump is not going to attend that one, because if he does, he's going to fuck me.
Being driven on here. Voter eligibility and voter confirmation, racism, right?
Yeah, you're racist.
And then what you have is controls, to have adequate controls over the election and investigations and just confirmations. That's federal interference. You see, racism and federal interference are destroying democracy. Maxine Waters said it, just like that. So guess what? This is what it is. And you have to remember something here, guys.
Dude, it's so funny. Trump is literally positioning this for maximum enmity towards him, by the way. Like his intent, what a spectacular fuck up this was. Anyone could have called this ahead of time, that New York already doesn't fuck with Trump. But now they especially don't fuck with Trump. You could have had Trump supporters on that line. By the end of this process, they are going to be Trump haters forever. Okay? Imagine you're a Trump guy. You're like, oh my God, my president's coming to fucking Washington Knicks in Madison Square Garden. And then you have to sit for 2.5 hours outside. It's 78 degrees. Okay? It's 78 and sunny. You're sweating fucking balls. They take away everything that you have on your person because Trump decided to come to Madison Square Garden. You're booing his ass. You're booing his ass. 100%. He shows up on the Jumbotron. You're like, fuck you. Fucking pedophile president. Your homies are like, bro, didn't you vote for him? He's like, yeah, fucking it was the worst mistake of my life. Yeah, here's the scene with 4 hours to tip off. He's ruined it. He's ruined the experience of so many people. It's so awesome.
It's low tech. When you increase technology, you increase the confirmations and you can increase the confidence. Now, technology isn't a voter tabulation machine that can be hacked and flip votes. We've seen examples of the voting machines. You've seen this, Benny, over the years where they've said, this is an example how this particular machine was flipped. No, the deeper you go in technology. Congress heard a presentation. This is a select committee, heard a presentation on the blockchain, Pat. Hey, did you know you could just take every person who's a valid citizen, put them on the blockchain, you'll know instantly did they vote or not. Not who they voted for, but did they vote or not.
What is this man saying, bro? Oh my God. I do trust this guy in technology. He was there when they invented electricity. Oh my God.
Everybody flipped out at that. Why? Because that's high technology, high confidence, high control. That's not what they want. You look at these blue states, Just keep counting until you get the answer you want. And it's destroying public confidence. And you're going to see, I think you're going to accelerate the people that are leaving. I talked to people last night in LA too. I asked them, what are you thinking about this? And they said, I'm shocked. Everybody has said the same thing. They said, I'm really shocked. In plain sight, doing what you just said, doing the quiet part out loud.
Exactly.
It was terrible, Pat, terrible. But remember, low tech enables it. When you go to ultimate high tech and blockchain, you control it. Nobody wants control. Everybody wants buckets of ballots that came here coming into what appears to be orderly rooms to be counted, that we are ensuring democracy. No, they're not. They are controlling the outcome of what they call democracy.
And Pat, now that we know what we're waiting for, Tom, the Supreme Court's ruling in Watson versus the Republican National Committee. It's a major case that could determine whether the states can continue counting mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day if they were postmarked on time. And the ruling is expected at the end of this month, Pat. But it's going to have
Vinny, that will only control the date and time that they bring in the white buckets.
Yeah.
So the Supreme Court will help. We need control, and it starts with voter validation and then technology that validates that those voters that were validated actually voted once.
Well, look, I don't know if you saw this article, what Gavin Newsom has done in response to the allegations. Basically, Gavin Newsom has
been... Probably Vinny, still. Like, the old one is the kooky conspiracy guy. This one is the Hasbara operative, right? He's probably smarter than the other ones, I'll be honest. Vinny's got to be the dumbest one in the bunch. Y'all think Adam is the dumbest one? This podcast is the single greatest example of the lie of meritocracy. How dare you? It's the single greatest example of meritocracy. They're winning because they're brilliant.
Basically signed a law that, quote unquote, here we go. Newsom signs law to shield California elections from federal interference.
Oh, there's that
basically.
Speaking of numbers, we got level 2 hype train. You already know what it is. Level 10 hype train. Today we play a different song. I know we don't got the soundboard when I'm away from home, but we still got Charlie Kirk. We still got the Carrying of the Flame. And subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service, PBS, not PBD. PBD is Patrick Bet David Podcast. PBS is Piker Broadcasting Service, the People's Broadcasting Service. If you like the numbers, please subscribe. This is how you can support the show, support independent media. I know you like the number. We get the level 10 hype train. You already know I'm playing new Charlie Kirk songs today. I am a number, please grok me. The flame will not be carried if you do not subscribe. And we got to carry the flame every day. There's a Turkish one? Okay, maybe I'll play that one. I'm poor. I can't even change the color of my Bugatti. Oh, we got a poor guy in here. Okay, this guy got a Bugatti, but he can't change the color. Why do you even get a Bugatti if you can't change the color? Everybody knows you get a Bugatti, you got to change the color. Otherwise, it's like you're dating somebody else's girlfriend, okay? It's not your own Bugatti. It's the previous owner's Bugatti if you can't change the color, okay? All right, we got some numbers. Michael Fusco Art, thank you for the 100 gifted sub. Level 5 hype train complete. We got 5 more levels level 6 hype train. 4 more levels until we complete level 10 hype train. I know you like the number. I'm a numbers guy. We got to get the number up.
Saying we prohibit any person, including federal agents, from accessing voter rolls or election technology without a court order. But then in response, here's this article. This is from The Hill. Federal prosecutors opened fraud probes into California voting. So alleged voter fraud, multiple election fraud investigations underway. Essentially what you said, there's serious structural vulnerabilities, specifically coming from 2 major components, mail-in voting and not requiring voter ID at the polls.
And by the way,
verify that only eligible U.S. citizens are registered.
On the Newsom thing, he signed that on May 29th. 4 days before the election.
Before the
Stop
election.
it.
4 days before. Here's the video where he explains why he wants to go ahead and pass it so that the federal government cannot interfere, is what he calls, in California's election.
Go ahead, press, watch the play.
Trump all the time. He's an invasive species. We've never been up against something like this. And he's just not, he's just winding up. I mean, he doesn't believe in fair and free elections. He believes in competitive authoritarianism. He wants an outcome along the lines of Putin. 87.3% to 4.3%. That's a fair
We are
and
at
free
level
election
6
from
hype train still.
Trump's perspective.
3 minutes
and he's
remaining.
become so delusional that I think he's almost starting to believe in his own BS.
Well, I think the people of California have somehow believed his BS for the last decade. And he used, let's just be clear here, he used a very specific number. He said 87% Trump wants that.
4.3, yeah.
Listen, Trump's best day is in the high 40s. Best day from a national electorate. And worst day is somewhere in the mid-30s. Gavin Newsom, who basically somehow passed a recall, I think 4 or 5 years ago, this is all
Larry Elder.
Exactly, Larry Elder. You know who I feel bad for? Can I be honest with you?
Tell me.
Because I'm very much pro-Florida, pro-Miami. I genuinely feel bad for the average Californian, and I'll tell you why. Because the top of the food chain, they can move someplace. If they're evading the wealth tax, they'll go find another place to live. But the bottom of the food chain, the 50% of Californians who are living on the social welfare state, don't have a choice here, are going to vote for the socialist communists, they're going to be fine because they're basically living high off the hog. It's the average Californian who's like, I can't move because I'm damned if I do, if I damned if I don't. And they basically are, at some point, they're going to have to say, all right, we've hit rock bottom. We're going to have to pivot. Until then, get used to democratic monopolies in your state.
Adam, I know you want to move on.
They almost had a candidate to be on the ballot. And the candidate, I believe, my opinion, we are watching it get taken away from them. There was, don't you see, I think there was a lot of Angelinos that were out there that got behind this campaign, that got behind these things. And by the way, for Rahman, Pat, I got a question for you. What did Rahman do in the last week of the election? She backed off.
She did a concession speech. She was crying on
Rob,
stage.
can you play that?
But she
Tom's asking a
backed off.
very good question here.
How does she surge when she's backing off?
Watch the video, Rob. Play the video. Go ahead, Rob. Look at this motivational speech. This is like, she knows she lost. Okay?
Los Angeles is the most magical city in the entire world.
This was like a concession speech?
No, it wasn't a concession speech. And she was crying when talking about her twins, apparently. No, she did not concede. I bet you if you told these guys there was a ballot issue where Spencer Pratt didn't appear on Beverly Hills ballots, they get all fired up about it. Dude, don't even fucking give them the... Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, no. You just spoke that into existence, MAGAphonics. You talk to your MAGA parents too much, okay? You're inventing new ways. You're inventing new ways of how MAGA will assume this election was fucking stolen. Oh, no. They already do this. I'm just a MAGA whisperer. Buddy, talking to your Israel-loving family members does not make you the MAGA whisperer, okay? Motherfucker's just relaying information from his dad, okay? He's like, yeah, no, I'm the MAGA whisperer. Meanwhile, what is he doing? He's just whispering to his dad. Hogaphonics, yes. He went from MAGAphonics to Hogaphonics. We're a level 7 hype train, by the way. Level 7 hype train. Almost at level 10. We got 1 minute remaining on level 7 hype train. I know you like the number. Is at 83%. Only 2 more levels left.
Yes, this is the night she lost. Rob, can you verify if this is the night she lost?
And I'm
Abi sen Amerika'nın şovinistisin. Abi ABD gazilerini destekliyorsun ve öldürmelisin. Hi. Okay, this is 100% not a Turkish person, okay? They just Google translated what I'm about to read to you into Turkish. It says, Hassan, you're an American chauvinist. You support the American veterans, and you must be murdered. But the way that this person wrote this is so clearly Google translated because no one would ever No one would ever type like this, okay? Öldürmelisin. Öldürülmelisin. Salak. Maybe he's very proper. Yeah, no. Did I say anything wrong? See, I told you. You said I must be murdered, but in a very polite way. So polite that it's like very obviously Google translated. You fucking idiot. You tried to threaten my life, but you did it in such a funny way. I can't help but laugh.
So grateful to call this extraordinary city my home.
Yeah. Okay. So she allegedly, let me just verify.
I don't think that's an act. I think she really believed that. And I think the machine wants what.
Oh my God. These people are so stupid. They're just cutting shit and piecing it to oh, we are at level 8 hype train now. Level 8 hype train, 3 minutes remaining. Only 2 more levels until we carry the flame. If you don't want to carry the flame, don't subscribe. If you do want to carry the flame and support independent media, PBD podcast, not the PBD podcast. This is the Real Valuetainment podcast, the Piker Broadcasting Service. But anyway, it's very funny that they're like, well, she was crying here, so I've decided that she lost and she's conceding when she's not conceding. And I've also further decided that there's a machine. There's a machine that has actually caused her to fucking win the election after she thought she had lost.
Bass back and used her to get rid of Pratt.
That's
election night.
What are
That
the
is
odds
election
actually
night. So-
saying about Pratt's
Well, we'll go to
chances?
Kalshi. No,
you mind?
Pratt's chances on Kalshi, it's...
Have they plummeted?
Oh, you'll
What
see
do you-
right now.
look-
1.2% of advancing.
Look at that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was still a 300.
No. Rob, do me a favor. Go
Adam,
back.
look at the-
So he's
look at
Go
the-
back. How far back
Look
can
at
you
the
go on
pot,
this,
Adam.
dates-wise? Can you go back to 1 month?
78 million.
Go to 1 month. Just watch this.
Look
at Pratt advancing. Okay? Look at Pratt advancing.
And then look.
And then right after June 2nd, which was the day to vote, he's still ahead. And then he drops
And look at that.
all the way down, and Rahman comes up.
And well, even Bass went a little bit lower. So you're saying that everyone who voted in that last 48-hour window, everyone voted for the communists.
Yes.
Bro, perhaps there's a lesson to be learned here. You won't learn it, but that lesson is don't use Kalshi as a reliable metric for who's going to win a fucking election. It's not a poll. It's a gambling app. All right, we got 1 minute remaining, less than 1 minute, 86% on level 8 hype train. It doesn't seem like we're carrying the flame today. Not gonna carry the flame. We are not gonna be Charlie Kirk, it seems. Book Girl Love, thank you for the 25 gifted subs. Only 30 seconds remaining now. Little B Stan, thank you for the 5 gifted. At 90%, Jawed. All right, never mind. We made it to 100%. We made it to 100%. We are at level 9 hype train. Only 1 more level remaining to carry the flame. Only 1 more level remaining to carry the flame. We're shilling again at the People's Broadcasting Service. Level 9 hype train at 10%. I know you like the number. And speaking of the numbers, we got Kalshi bets, Kalshi predictions.
Are you ready for
Yes.
this bet? So not the beat
Yes.
posted.
Unbelievable.
One of the best statements I
And
saw.
$78 million was placed.
Only Rahman's
That's
mail-in
70
ballots were late, Adam. Only Rahman's mail-in
Yeah.
ballots
So
were late.
when statistically impossible things happen, We should not be expected as a society to accept them. Evidence
All right,
of
we're
fraud
over
isn't limited to
now
video
at
surveillance.
level 9 hype train. We're over 52%. It seems like people are carrying the flame.
Statistical impossibilities are hard evidence of fraud. That was not the B posted it and Elon posted it, Pat. And this is, when we talk about the left, right, or whatever, they're willing to lie and cheat to come into power. That's why I'm saying, Pat, this is a spiritual thing. We're at spiritual warfare.
Oh, we're at
because
90%.
Once they come in, Pat, what do? They open the border, they bring in illegals, our women and children get freaking taken advantage, murdered, or raped, and then they make policies for trans, this and that. It's freaking evil. And what's a fine time? You're talking about these Angelinos. What could they do? What?
Your impression of Patrick Bet David is a good teaching moment about the values of persistence. From one of your worst impressions to one of your most entertaining ones, you prove to us that we should never give up on the things we love. Success inevitably follows hard work. Meritocracy is real. And you know what else is real? We are Charlie Kirk. Biz Charlie Kirk'üz. Turkish cover. Because Arabesque, this is a song called Arabesque type. Song type. Level 10 hype train for the Piker Broadcasting Service. We are Charlie Kirk. We are Charlie Turk.
Sarsılmazca dur, fırtınanın ortasında bir ses. İmanlı bir adam, yeniden doğmuş bir yürek. Bedeli ağır olsa da, gerçeği söyle dedim. İsa için yaşadı. Biz Charlie Kirk'üz, ateşi taşıyoruz. İncil için savaşacağız, onun adını yücelteceğiz. Biz Charlie Kirk'üz, onun cesareti bizim cesaretimizdi. Birlikte sarsılmazca cenneti ilan edeceğiz. Bir baba, Aelzi ona çok yakındı. Kutsal kitap üzerine kurulu bir yuva, korkusuz bir iman.
So sad.
Dünya onu susturmaya çalıştı ama sesi kaldı. İçimizde yankılanıyor. Mesih'te yaşamaya devam ediyor. Biz Charlie Kirk'üz, ateşi taşıyoruz. İncil için savaşacağız.
İncil için savaşacağız.
Adını yücelteceğiz. Biz Charlie Kirk'üz, onun cesareti bizim cesaretimizdi. Birlikte sarsılmazca cenneti ilan edeceğiz.
The reggae version is better. All right, you know what? Bonus round. We got to play the reggae version. Wait, are you Turkish or something? Nah. I just learned it. It's not as good. I'll be honest. It doesn't hit as hard. Give me the reggae version. Give me the reggae version right now. Someone link it to me right now. No, it's not that good. Bonus round. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. Anyway, all right, let's get back to Patrick Bet David.
What can you do? What? Go on the streets?
So we believe this is an election. They believe this is a revolution. And during a revolution, anything is permissible. And
yeah, dude, that's what's going on. We're doing the revolution by getting Nithya Raman in as LA mayor. Or wait, it's even dumber than that. We're doing the revolution by kicking out Spencer Pratt from the runoffs. That's the revolution.
that's what you're seeing it here. You know, we believe that they're wrong and that we need to sit down and find a way to reason with the ones that are close to the middle and to bring them over. That's the spirit of this podcast.
It's just like, oh, they're counter-revolutionary. It's always funny because it's like, I mean, what do you say? What do you say to this? I always wish that the Democrats were half, if not a quarter, as revolutionary as the Republicans claim they are, you know? It's a very sad state of affairs.
That's why you saw Pat on Jubilee. That's why all this stuff. They believe we're evil and any tactic is permissible to stop.
PBD, you're a California guy. What are you hearing from your people? Because at the end of the day, there's going to be a socialist versus a communist, it seems, in this runoff. What are people in California?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Between Karen Bass and Nithya Raman, I don't know which one he's referencing as the communist. I assume he means Nithya Raman is the communist, but Karen Bass is genuinely, throughout her like work with the Venceremos movement, like actually closer to being sympathetic to communism than Nithya Raman certainly is. So I don't know. I don't know if like I assume they're saying like Nithya Raman is the communist because she's younger and she's more radical, I guess, even though she's not. But Karen Bass actually was a communist at some point in her life.
So there are guys that are planning on moving to Florida, and they've been waiting and waiting.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding when I say that about Karen Bass. Karen Bass literally worked alongside the Cuban government for years, and I think that's a good thing for the record. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. She did like humanitarian aid missions. Like, it's true. Now, that doesn't reflect on who she is now, unfortunately, but she used to be a fucking comrade.
And waiting. Like, for instance, I'll give you an idea. My own family.
Yeah.
A lot of Iranians, Armenians, Assyrians left Iran a long time ago. When did your parents leave Iran?
Oh, my God.
What year? Because you were born in New York.
Born in New York.
So how much previous to that? When did your parents leave?
In the 70s.
Can you text your... Well, it's too early.
No, she'll be up.
What year you think I think your parents left probably in the 70s.
Pre-revolution.
Early 70s.
Okay. So you have to realize there's different tiers of people that left Iran.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
There are those like his parents who left early. Okay. Then there are those that left in 77, 78. The moment revolution started happening, they're like, we're out of here. Okay.
That was your dad.
No, not at all. No, they didn't. My mom was like, it's going to get better. So my mom encouraged them to stay. My dad is saying, let's get the hell out of here. My mom said, no, let's stay. It's going to get better. Anyways, they stay. And then by 89, when Khomeini died and things got chaotic, we left. By the way, we are known as leaving the latest. We left late because they thought something good was going to happen, right? And then we left.
And they were wrong. My parents, not a numbers guy. Am a numbers guy. My mother and my father, not a numbers guy. I crunched the numbers. I know you really like number. If it was up to me, I would have left way before the revolution.
And we went to Germany, and then we ended up coming here. Okay, you've heard the story a million times, so I'm not...
Wait, we don't care about this, PBD? Please, please, please. You're fucking wrong. I can listen to him explain this story, which I've heard him explain 1,000 times. I can hear this story from Patrick Bet David 1,000 additional times and still not get bored.
Repeating that story. What does that have to do with California? There are people in California that don't want to leave. I had a call the other day, one of our clients. He sold one of his companies a few years ago for $300 million, and he's about to sell a second company in Australia for $250 to $500 million. He's about to go public, money guy, good guy, sharp guy, family guy. And Australia just announced the capital gains tax, which I don't know if you're familiar with it. Our capital gains here is what, 23.9, something like that?
8%, I believe.
But it's including the Obamacare, I think it's like 23.9 is what you're looking at.
That's correct.
And in Canada, they announced something that your capital gains could go all the way up to 47%. Rob, can you type in 47%?
Higher than ordinary income?
47%, I want to say. There was something that came out that was 40. Australia, if you look up what their capital gains is, a potential rate of 47%. Okay. So anyways, he's bringing this up to me that this is taking place. I said, what do you want to do? Do you want to fix it? Or do you want to go to, Singapore? Do you want to go to Dubai where you don't have to pay taxes? He says, no, I want to fix it. I said, so you don't want to leave Australia? No. So you want to contribute? Yes. So what's the plan? And I said, so how famous are you? Not that famous. I'm famous amongst business people because I've made money, but I'm not that famous. I said, well, number one, without the fame, you ain't, you know, it's not something you're going to be able to do. We got to work
the
on
fame,
the
it ain't the
part.
same.
He says, well, what about if I first start off with Victoria, the state, which Victoria is kind of like California, and then from there go for national level, which is prime minister. I put him in working on putting him in contact with the previous deputy prime minister for them to have a conversation together. But what's the point? There are a lot of people in California and Angelenos that have been waiting and waiting and waiting. You know what tiers it's going to be? Those who move to a Republican county. So, I don't know, pick a Republican. They're going to go hide in Manhattan Beach. They're going to go hide in Newport Beach. They're going to go hide in, you know, Kern County, like Bakersfield. They're going to go to weird places like this, right? You know, shout out to...
Move out of L.A. or something.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Then there are those that are going to do the easy thing, second easy thing, which is what? Go to Nevada. And they're going to do the 185, 175, which is live 185 days in Nevada to avoid having to pay the tax of California.
Wealthy people can do that, right?
The wealthy people can do that. The average person cannot do that. Then it's the people that are just going to be like, I'm moving out. And I'm going to go to Texas, or I'm going to Florida.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to Tennessee. Or I'm going to go stay in Henderson, Nevada. Those are the three tiers. So if this could, by the way, where's Hilton at right now, Rob? Can you look up Hilton's? Go to Hilton's Calshi.
I think he just got passed by Xavier Becerra.
Steyer passed him up?
No,
I don't know. Becerra's got confirmed. He's in. Yeah. Like, he for sure is first place. But Hilton is still 9.6%, which is fine. Because as long as he's second place, that's all you care about.
And we should have a moment of silence for this guy, Tom Steyer. He just keeps pumping
$200
hundreds of
million
millions of dollars
$100 million
to get elected. And the world is
he's
like,
in the Bloomberg
you ain't
camp.
the guy, buddy.
You know who else did that? Meg Whitman also did that many years ago. She ran as a Republican.
What's really funny about this, by the way, is I you know, not so jokingly, but jokingly referred to Tom Steyer doing something, you know, using his money better than wasting it away in this election, and handing it to the DSA, and people got like real mad. There were like DSA members who were like, "This is fucking bullshit. We would never accept $200 million from a billionaire. It would never come without strings attached." All this stuff. It's like, don't worry, guys. It's not gonna happen. Okay. It's very funny, and it's also very like leftist discourse to just like get ahead of a situation that is not even remotely likely to happen. And you know, drive discourse on utter fantasy, like pure fantasy. Support Steyer giving DSA $200 million and then immediately spending it all on something like this. Oh yeah, this is the French Communist Party headquarters, isn't it? Am I crazy? Yeah. It's aura. It's aura. Maximum aura. That'd be so sick.
I think former CEO of eBay, and she went through different things. Father's Day's around the corner, and there's one statistic on Mother's Day place.
Oh wait, the end of this is just all ads. Oh my god.
Nithya Raman has...
Yeah, I'd rather fucking die than watch Tim Pool talk about how Democrats cheated.
Now, the latest from a key Senate race that could affect the balance of power in Washington. Maine Democrat Graham Plattner is pushing back against allegations by a former girlfriend who says that he mistreated her. He is a favorite to win.
Give it to the Memphis DSA and we'll buy the pyramid. I think you could probably buy the pyramid for less than $200 million. I think you could probably buy the pyramid for like what, 10 million max? Like, how much could that fucking pyramid cost? $10? Maximum 20? We're
all right, y'all. So this is crazy, but we're now at the point where left-wing YouTubers and...
Yeah, let's watch some Dark Woke General, dude. Dark Woke Brigadier General. Also, new poll came out. New poll alert! New poll alert. They finally hit it, by the way. Plattner's favorabilities have actually diminished a little bit. They finally got him. And yet, new poll alert. Graham Plattner at 51%. Susan Collins at 49%.
You know,
not sure what the previous poll from this pollster looked like. I don't know if it's the first one. It might not be directionally good.
Twitch streamers and so-called influencers, I hate that word, but we're now being targeted by the White House. They're now tracking us and listening to us and seeing what we're saying and trying to highlight how terrible and bad and evil we are. So look at this. The White House has now listed Hassan Piker on their website under left-wing lunacy media offenders. Other individuals on the list include Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Don Lemon, and Rachel Maddow. Now, let me just pause right here to point out, we've been warning liberals about this. There's leftists on the platform. I consider myself a leftist. Hassan's a leftist. There's many other leftists on this platform. But there's also many liberal commentators who are not fans of Hassan.
We've been saying this. It's not going to stop with people like myself. They're going to come after you too. And yet all these fucking dummy centrists out there were like, no, it's actually awesome. It's awesome that they're persecuting you. It's awesome because you fucking suck. And we hate you personally. It'll never come to us. Well, you're a fucking idiot.
Not fans of myself. But like, we've warned them that, listen, bro, first of all, you're not my enemy. My enemy is MAGA. My enemy are the billionaires, the fascists, and the warmongers. But second of all, you're out of your mind if you don't understand that they see no difference between us. Okay? We're the same. If you are slightly left of center, all the way to a fucking communist, they look at you like you're the problem. So they're lumping in Hassan with fucking Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and Rachel Maddow. Like, what? But that's what they're doing. So as you can see, left-wing lunacy. So I went to the website.
It's so funny because like they literally don't understand the poem. They don't. Like first they came for the communists and I didn't say anything because I was not a communist. That's the whole point of the fucking poem. You didn't understand the most basic poem of all time. Congratulations. Congratulations, dumbass. Good job. What do you think the point of that is? First, they came for the communists, and I actually celebrated it because I hate communists, and then that's it. That's where the story ends, I assume. If you are a liberal and you found yourself cheering on Trump state repression against those on your left flank, well, have fun, okay?
Hey, bro. And it was weird. It was very limited. Okay, look at this one. Leftist influencers. The offense. While President Donald J. Trump was in the Oval Office and Situation Room commanding one of the most daring, complex military search and rescue missions in modern American history, the rescue of 2 airmen from deep inside hostile Iranian territory, deranged leftists and the fake news media was spreading vicious, fabricated conspiracy theories about a non-existent health crisis at the White House. The truth, fueled by unhinged fringe accounts on social media garnering millions of views, collapsing liberal media outlets turned internet gossip into front-page news, dishonestly framing it as a full-blown scandal and completely ignoring President Trump's ironclad leadership and the triumphant success of our troops. So this one, they're calling out David Pakman and Ed Krasenstein are called out in this one. For Hassan's thing, they said, they highlighted how he said Trump... It'd be funny if Trump were to pass away before Joe Biden. Which, I mean, that would be kind of funny, right? With all the shit talk they do about Biden's health and then Trump.
Yeah, like that's a joke about Biden's health. That's not even a joke about like, Trump dying. The joke there is Biden is so fucking old. But of course, you can't joke. You can't joke at all with these people. These people do not like jokes. They said legalize comedy, and I thought they meant it. Turns out they didn't fucking mean it at all.
Trump looks like he has 1.5 feet in the grave, if you ask me. But that's all Hassan said is like, it would kind of be funny if Trump ended up passing away before Biden, given all the shit they talk about Biden's health. And they highlighted that as if that's like, unacceptable. Paul Graham says, this is an actual page on the White House website. It reads like something written about a third world dictator. So embarrassing. I have not seen any branch of the federal government sink this low in my lifetime. Okay. Hassan Piker has been included on the official White House government website page for left-wing lunacy. It cites him as lamenting Trump being alive and remarking that it would be pretty funny if you... Here, I'll read you what they say. Examples of degenerate fake news figureheads spewing such disgusting rhetoric. Jimmy Kimmel stating just days before Saturday's assassination attempt that First Lady Melania Trump had a glow like an expectant widow. First of all, bro, he said that They recorded that before, I believe, that even happened, right? And the joke there is Melania hates Trump, because Melania does hate Trump. Everybody knows that. Stephen Colbert claiming Donald Trump is a fascist. That's just basic reality. Rachel Maddow calling President Trump an authoritarian leader and attempting an overthrow of the U.S. government. Again, this is basic fucking reality shit. James Carville. I love how they lumped James Carville and Hassan Piker together. James Carville is suggesting President Trump would institute a fascist regime. Again, factual. Hassan Piker, they spelled Hassan wrong. They put 2 S's. Lamenting that President Trump is alive and remarking that it would be pretty funny if he died. It'd be funny if he died before Biden was the full quote. Joe Scarborough, they put a Republican in the left-wing lunacy page, bro. Joe Scarborough claiming that President Trump has gone full-on Hitler. Jonathan Chait stating that President Trump is a threat to democracy and saying so is not incitement. Lemon declaring that the GOP needs to burn to the ground and that President Trump is racist. All this stuff, all these people are spitting straight facts, y'all. Straight facts. But here's the thing. Why can't I get any love, man? Why am I left off the goddamn page? Really? I've never felt more wild.
It's so funny. All Kyle wants is a fraction of the notice that I keep getting from these fucking animals. And it never seems to happen.
In my entire life, y'all. Here I am. You got people ranging all the way from motherfucking Joe Scarborough to Jimmy Kimmel to Rachel Maddow to Hassan Piker. And my ass is left off there. What do I have to do to get some attention from these people, dog? You guys saw Fox News came after me the other day, but they just played a little clip and they didn't even say my fucking name. Well, now my rule is say my name, bitch. Say my name. Say Secular Talk. Say Kyle Kulinski. Say The Kyle Kulinski Show. Hit me with something. I want the smoke. I want all the smoke. And then I will turn it around and flip it on you like nobody has ever seen before. We will burn this bitch to the ground, metaphorically speaking, and you will not fucking know what hit you. For the love of God, add me on your shitty pages. Add me on your website. Call me public enemy number 1. Highlight the things I say. Try to whip everybody up in a frenzy. I want all of the motherfucking smoke. I hate you. I despise you. You're evil. You're satanic. You're demonic. Nobody has ever destroyed this country to this extent, this quickly, than what the MAGA movement has done right in front of our eyes. I wear it as a badge of honor if they come after me and make me public enemy number 1, just like when I was a kid growing up and they tried to do it with Michael Moore all the time. Michael Moore could fart in a motherfucking elevator and it'd be breaking news on Fox News by that night. I want that smoke, y'all. I want that smoke. Please, for the love of God, somebody get me on their radar. Please, somebody play the shit I say about them to them, okay? But my guess is, I don't know. They either don't know who the fuck I am, which is very possible because all these people are totally out of touch, or they know they don't want to write down on a page on the website that, you know, this guy calls Trump a war criminal, pedophile, rapist, con man, right? Like, even though they're denying it, just having that written there is like it's got a little sting to it, doesn't it? So I don't know, man, but it sort of infuriates me. Not gonna lie, it sort of infuriates me. What more do I have to do? Like I said, they put me on Fox News, but they didn't say my name. So the next goal is get Fox News to say my fucking name. I want them to hate me the way they hate on Jennifer Welch. Jennifer Welch, the queen. They've gone after Jennifer Welch. They've gone after Crystal. They've gone after Jennifer Welch. They really make a point of going after Jennifer.
I can't do smoke transfer. I wish I could. I would love for them. I would love for the heat to be off my ass for like half a second. Okay? You don't understand. I don't actually like being in this situation. I know it's tough for people to believe this. I know you're like, well, you certainly do get it all the time, so you might as well enjoy it a little bit. I don't like it at all. I hate it, actually.
Damn, this guy's good.